Good evening. Welcome to another cast of VRML Breachers. It is going to be the different one, though. It's going to be the postseason playoffs. We have the Final Four playing in today. Today we'll have an exciting game right now between IVNA and Fusion. My name is Martini, and of course I have Plague Doctor and Ashimi Marui in the casting booth with me. How are you all doing today?
I am doing fantastic today, Martini. I just got off a couple hours ago the EU cast where we saw some exciting games being played. And that's really got me pumped for this NA matchup. I am super excited to see the top tier gameplay that's going to come out of this.
Yeah, I'm ready to watch some really good breachers. I mean, we've got the top four here. Fusion has been killing it all season. A real dark horse. I don't think anybody really expected to come out into the top four. And then IVI, the previous champions of last season. This is going to be a great match. We're lining up for a ton of good matches tomorrow as well.
You know, we were talking in the pregame about predictions. Who do y'all expect to win this one out?
Well, Martini, when we were talking about it, the recent hot fixes have been somewhat controversial. The recent updates have been somewhat controversial when it came to the movement and strategies within the game, including the nerfs to both hip firing and to play spacing, which have hit few teams pretty hard. We saw in the EU that it didn't really affect them too much. The people are still able to play to their fullest potential even with these nerfs, but we've seen some teams focus on those aspects a bit more than others, and I think that's what we've seen. If we look back on Fusion cast, if we look back and everything like that, Fusion has been pretty reliant on their play spacing and their hip firing, so we'll see if they can compensate for that with the nerfs.
So you think Fusion won't be able to win this out because of those nerfs to their play style?
I think it's going to be a 3-mapper. I think it's going to be IVI winning out in the end on a 3-mapper.
Okay. What about you, Shibi?
I think IVI has decently got this, but that being said, we thought the same exact thing on that last match of the casting season of IVI versus F3. We thought that IVI was going to absolutely swamp F3, and F3 pulled out a solid win against them. So it could still be anybody's game. Fusion's been working really hard to make their way to this top four, and I don't think they want to go out not seeing it through to the end. That being said, IVI, always been a strong team, always had strong players. Some of the highest levels of gun skill are on this team in terms of breachers.
Yeah, I've seen some pretty strong, I think, performances coming out from Ivy. Last weekend, they ended up playing, against the SBNA. Pretty strong performance against them. So I'm definitely of the mind that they're going to perform well. They are, again, the incumbent winner right now for the Breachers season. So we'll see what they can do. Maybe they won't even make it. Who knows? What if Fusion, shuts them down today? They don't even make it to the top two tomorrow, so we'll see what happens there. But just a reminder, today is the top four. Whoever loses this one will be going off to the bronze match tomorrow. Whoever wins is guaranteed in the top two of the finals tomorrow, so that'll be exciting to see. Before we hop right into the map here, they're starting right now. Shout out to one of my personal favorite sponsors, Triangle Factory, for providing us with the game we love, and of course for supporting Season 4 of VRML, and also HyperX for offering some great products like the high quality HyperX Quadcast S and some other great peripherals for computers. And it looks like these teams are hopping right into Factory here. And Factory, we always talk about the bread and butter of Breachers, right? The map that has been around since, I gotta say, was it alpha, beta? I forget, one of those two testing times.
Close enough.
Yeah, close enough. But been around for such a long time, and here we go into this Fusion versus Ivy, starting off the playoffs today. I'm excited to see what Ivy comes out. They're on the attacking side here. I have been shocked the last 2 weekends on how teams have been performing on the attack for Factory. It's been exciting to see how these teams make it work, because again, this is supposed to be a defensive sided map, but I've been seeing more attacking wins for once on Factory, which is, it's got me questioning, is something changing with this meta on a map that is so old?
Well, that's the thing, is they constantly change with the updates, Martini. And obviously, I feel like some metas are going to change regardless because of the recent updates. A lot of people can't take the peaks of the strategies they used to take with the play spacing and with the hip firing that they could before. Some of the info peaks is a lot harder, and especially if you're trying to take a pixel peak, it's a little bit harder because if you're trying to move out of it, it's a lot slower for you to recover.
Right.
Now, we are seeing IVI pushing down outside Tetris hatch. They have full control over the back hallway in Tetris. And also, there's no one in lockers for Fusion. They're full committing to the point with Hero moving up towards it along a lot of the utility coming out on both sides. Utility dump meta truly rearing its head. We seeing these recently buffed flashes. Now 4 people flashed on the Fusion side. These flashes have been buffed a ton. We're going to see that a lot in this matchup as IVI attempts to push in. They do get flanked out by Mac, I believe, on the Fusion side. So we'll see if IVI can recover from this numbers disadvantage.
Yeah, this was looking like a pretty solid push for them initially, but Mac coming on the back end there did put things down as Carter gets a pick off on Blaze. They're already starting off a good start for Fusion. 2 down from the IBNA side, looking a little tough. About a minute left in a round here, so they got to make some kind of action, some kind of movement. But honestly, this defense from Fusion is looking really good, even to your point, taking so much utility. As a beautiful trip mine taking out Sleetso there, leaving only Swift now in Cubby alone as Proxy gets knocked down, and it looks like they might be circling in pretty soon here on a Swift as Max somehow gets picked up on the back end now in a 4v1 here, and Swift is going to be trying to survive this one, but the TK comes out there and that somehow goes down to 2 players left on the Fusion side. What happened there?
He ran into the pre-firing from his teammate, unfortunately. That's gonna be rough on the economy there. They would have had another pistol in, but yeah, he ran, I believe Carter ran directly, or Kai ran directly in front of that pre-fire.
You hate to see it. You hate to see it. Well, that first pick that Matt got, first thing they did was stall out Fusion. Or sorry, stall out IVI. They made IVI wait a little bit. Mac got his first pick. And after that, it was just a slow cascade. They couldn't get into sight. IVI wasn't able to get their grip that they needed to, get that EMP down. And it just slowly came down to whittling more and more, especially that trip mine kill that put it down to from a 3v5 to a 2v5. That was huge. That was huge. Gave Fusion the man advantage that they needed to just start pressing in. Yeah, they lost a few people trying to take out that last dude, but a 1v5, you have a very low chance of losing that. You can just throw bodies.
Yeah, definitely impressed by this defense coming out from Fusion. It was a pretty strong hold, and I love seeing those roamers that get that pick and they just bank the kill and just run. You know, sometimes I think roamers overstay their welcome there and they get knocked out and they don't really utilize the advantage that they just achieved their team, right? That's one of the best things when a roamer can get that value, but then they lose it because they don't bank that kill. But anyways, we are getting started here for IB now having to make another attack here. We're seeing a little bit different in terms of this defense now. They're going a little more conservative, not utilizing that roamer this time around from Fusion.
I'm honestly not surprised to not see an upstairs roamer from the Fusion side. We've seen that quite a bit in the past in this season where teams would be having, 1 or 2 people up in lockers over on defense trying to make sure they can get in. But honestly, throughout the rest of the season, the latter half, I've been seeing less and less top floor roamers on factory from the defense. I think it's just a bit of a meta shift. People are realizing that they can hold the point a bit better from the connector and from out near gravel rather than having to go upstairs and get isolated from the rest of their team. A double kill from Sleetso with an incendiary.
That is going to be a big pick coming out there from IBNA, allowing them to get another pick there on Hero, leaving only 2 left on the Fusion side. Here's Blaze picks up another one. 10K left alone as Blaze cannot pick it up. 2K from 10K there, and leaving only 2 players left. And they got to be careful. There is also that trip mine. We've seen Ivy already get knocked out by one of the trip mines, but 6 health in hand here for 10K is not looking great. I'm not going to call it impossible, but I would say dang near.
Now, I've seen too many trip kills today, Martini. I think we had at least 4 in the EU semifinals today when I was casting in that. So I am going to laugh if I keep seeing them tonight. We've just been seeing teams, unfortunately, going down to them left and right. We've seen some fantastic spots and also some drones that are completely missing the trip spots. It seems like 10K is actually committing to coming upstairs, hoping to take out one of these players to deny economy is what it seems like. They're not giving the chance for him to save. They're just trying to take him out, and that is a thrifty win for IVI. They were down on money, but they got trips. Just talking about that. Come on. Please tell me you got the replay of that.
I got the 2K from the incendiary right now.
I feel like that happens too often, where we see the end of the round, happens, and then still the enforcer dies to some trip mines. I swear it happens every time that there are still trips in play. But That was very, very closely about to go into Fusion's way, but that double insyn from Sleetso, giving them that opening into sight, giving them that purchase that they needed to get through the door, clearing out the front of connector to where only the back was exposed, getting them that room that they needed to plant, take out a couple more people, and make a move like that. That shored up that win. Now we're going into this 1-on-1 into the third round. Sorry, 1 point on 1 point, I should actually specify. My bad.
10K is sitting at a 5.0 KD right now. Not a bad spot to be in on round 3. Max seems like he may be going for a bit of a flank in case someone's swinging in on the top floor window, or rather on the first floor window, but decides against it. Proxy and Sleetso hoping to push in on storage. There's actually a prox down, but Proxy is just full committing, pushing into the point and taking out Carter immediately, nearly taking out Kai with some wall bangs. What a fantastic push by Proxy, and a bold one considering he didn't know if there were trips. There was no drone that went in before him. The Swift takes down Kai. That is immediately a numbers advantage for the IVI stack, but Hero's coming up, hoping to take him down as well. Nade into connector's going to push 10K back. Hero hoping to push out into storage. He could get an opportune push off, but he gets taken down by Swift. That is now 10K and Mac against a full stack of IVI players. Can they get this off?
Yeah, Mac on the back end there goes for the swing, but Gizmo there for the follow-up, and another knockdown by another trip mine. And look at the bodies piling up on this side here. It's just beautiful. But now again, a 10K on their own in a 1v2 situation here. And Fusion, again, they're supposed to be on the advantage side here. They have the defensive hold here, but IB, and this is what I'm talking about. The meta has been slightly shifting now, where I'm seeing attacking teams do a little bit better now on Factory, which is still shocking to me.
Now, these players, they're not quite sure, you know, Blaze and Gizmo, they're not quite sure where 10K is. They want to go for the plant. They want to just get this off. Now they know where he is. They know he's in B. I'm surprised Blaze isn't going for the plant now. 10K hoping someone's pushing him out in connector, but it seems like Blaze is just going to be committing to the plant, probably going to back out into storage. The ball is in 10K's court at this point. He needs to take down 2 players, but he has Gizmo down relatively low. Gizmo is healing up, however. Not a good situation to be in, especially with just an Omen. 10K is going to have to put out some miraculous plays, Martini. Doesn't have any util either. He doesn't have a crutch, and he doesn't check his corner. That's real unfortunate, and that will give IVI their second round of the matchup.
I gotta say, we're noticing Fusion is being a little bit more aggressive when they don't need to. Maybe this is a throwaway round for them. I mean, they did buy in pretty heavily. They're feeling it this coming round. Only a couple Vezants in hand. But we saw them swinging stuff they necessarily didn't have to. Getting a little bit aggressive, a little over egotistical, trying to get picks when they probably should have focused on staying on site. I mean, maybe that was just so that they can try and get an early man advantage, but it ended up costing them dearly and putting them in the man deficit, which just led to them not being able to recover that round like they needed to. I will give it, 10K is kind of on a roll right now. We saw him get a 3K last round, 2K this one. His trip's just doing work, but unfortunately, it's still just not enough to bring that Fusion second round that they need.
You know what's wild to me? I think it's the first game I've seen where I believe every round there's been 1 trip kill so far, which has been kind of mind-blowing to me because, again, most people see trip mines as kind of brain dead, or it's like too easy. They get picked up so easily by people, but the fact that they're almost guaranteeing themselves a kill every round, and you're right, Fusion is still losing these out. They have that advantage, not even having to have a sacrifice a player to get that pick, and yet it's still not quite working out here. Anyways, they are going pretty aggressive again on this. I was gonna say locker here, but Mac is gonna be waiting on the back, and they're waiting to potentially pinch in onto this IVNA attack here as they get set up again onto this third floor side. I think it's the only side they've failed on at a 2K there. 3K now coming out. Already Fusion is down to several players here as this IVNA attack is just collapsing on them. And Hero now left alone in the corner, flashed out of their mind here, and they have to deal with this, and they get picked down there. And that was too fast to even talk.
I think Swift is a little excited there. Now up 3-1, IVI is putting out a fantastic showing. And I have to say, those trips have to be hidden well because I never saw where 10K put those trips down. I also want to watch him and see where he's putting these trips down, see if they're going to we can preemptively see his trip kills. But regardless, we're seeing some fantastic play on both sides, but it seems like almost seems like IBI is just really has Factory down on lock when it comes to their offense.
Yep.
They're really trying to, get these rounds off, and we've been seeing that, obviously, and you were talking about it as well, Martini. Factory is somewhat of a defensive-sided map, but IVI is really showing their chops on offense. I'm excited to see what they're going to do on defense after the switch, too. And now, interestingly, I'm sorry, Shimmy, I'm taking up your analyst spot.
You're good. You're good.
I was like, interesting.
No, there's only one thing I really need to say on this, and that is it. Right now, Proxy, Swift, and Gizmo, some of the fastest and most aggressive guns in the entire game, are just really strutting their stuff right now. That entire purchase into sight was just thanks to them being as aggro and in Fusion space as they could possibly be. Let
me call out this really weird flipped defense right now. It's an aggressive defense. 3 roamers now on this third floor here, which is almost the exact opposite of what you had mentioned earlier, Plague, where people are not as aggressive on this roaming, but we're seeing the exact opposite. Matt goes in for the swing, gets picked up by Blaze, though. Still 10k, though, and Hero on the back end there, as Proxy does get a little bit of chip damage. They're almost getting knocked down, and it still leaves, again, Hero and 10k alive. Blaze taking a lot of chip damage. And what is 10k doing over there, taking so much chip damage off of these IB players?
I don't know, if I'm IV, I don't know there's 2 people. I know there's 1. I might be pushing him just to get the man advantage at this point. You have so many players upstairs. You have the numbers advantage, but it seems like they're going to do the opposite. They're going to push to the point, knowing they have the man advantage to push onto the point. Gizmo and Sleetso on the stairs. Gizmo holding onto the EMP, hoping to push down and get the plant off as Carter is in connector. Kai is on the other side over near Gravel. Now has the wall foamed. Hero pushing in up to the hatch, most likely, as we do see other teammates just pushing back towards point. 10k is relatively low. Might get taken out if he's not careful. If we do see some flank watch from these IVI players. They're ready and primed to go into the point. A minute left on the clock, but Hero is still ready and waiting to come in on their back line.
Yeah, this attack now getting developed here. The Incendiary coming out at a perfect time, almost knocking down Blaze. But Gizmo going in for the plant at this point. Blaze picks up Kai. In the end, Hero looks like the size they are going to be pulling out for their trap. Let's see if we get sprung onto these IB players, as now they have to retake the site here in a 3v4 against them. Hero picks out Blaze, goes for the 2k, gets almost the 3k, but gets flashed out by Sleet, so that does help equalize a little bit this player disadvantage right now.
I have to say, where were the comms for Gizmo? His teammate got shot in the back of the head, and he just kept going and turned around and headed towards the outside. That is a fantastic clutch from the Fusion side, drawing themselves, getting victory from the jaws of defeat, immediately getting now to a 2-3, nearly to a 3-3 clean slate. Shimmy, what did you see there that allowed Fusion to get back up from that, that losing round?
Hero's remaining flank, the fact that he didn't abandon it, he just waited for his right time. He cleared that hatch. Like, it was a 2-2 split. There were 2 up on the hatch and then 2 down below finishing up the plant. And the fact that he was able to pick off those 2 on hatch, bail through the hatch when the remaining 2 finished the plant and came up to go re-secure dominance on the hatch. He jumps down and then comes back up. It was a 2v3, and you have 2 people on the staircase, one of them being Hero, and the third just raining fire through the hatch. They just managed to cause enough damage to finally take out those last 2 remaining IVI players and secure the defuse. That was very well done. Very well played by Hero.
I saw Hero. I saw them lurking for so long. I'm like, are they going to do it? Are they actually going to do it? And I got to say, the trigger discipline, the patience, and being able to really spring that trap was amazing. The fact that I think they got a 2k in the end there from that sort of play and allowed them to switch up that retake was insane. 3. Even better, even better. Talk about a switch up. Hero truly, emphasizing the name that they are owning here. But anyways, here Ivy now on the final round on their attacking half here. Can they get another? I'm gonna be honest, if I were Ivy, 3-3 is not bad going through this defensive half here. Incendiary coming out there, a lot of utility being used. Kai taking a lot of chip damage from that frag here, and that floor of lava is gonna be holding him down for the time being.
Kai's AFK. Oh, we have a disconnect over on the Fusion side. That's going to be disastrous if they can't get him back in time. Carter gets the kill on Swift up on the box, however. That's a fantastic pickup as Blaze is heading in to possibly foam the wall. Carter may get taken out by a nade rolling in. Kai is back, thankfully. He does have an Arill, at least. That's better than just having a pistol. Now Carter's inside box. 4v4. health advantage definitely belonging in IVI's court, especially with the stim coming up. But Fusion has some great positioning right now to get some refrags for their teammates. As I say that, Slitzo takes out one, or Blaze takes out Kai. Slitzo hoping to push straight in, gets taken out by Hero. Now Carter pushes into storage, hoping to get some good kills off, but can't quite get purchase on it. Proxy doesn't know he's right there in the corner. Carter hoping to creep up and take out Gizmo. Not quite sure where he is. Proxy pushes up. Oh no, Carter misses his shot. Proxy gets the kill off. Hero pushing out into storage. It's a 2v2 as Hero gets taken down, and Proxy takes down 10K. And the trip kill onto Gizmo for 10K. Oh my god.
You hate to see it every time it's still in play at the end of the round. Somebody dies to it, but
I think almost every round, right? Almost every round has had a trip kill this half, which is kind of insane.
Oh yeah, well, Proxy, being the absolute menace he is, just decided he was going to wipe the entire site himself. The flicks that came out of that dude as he was just going for it. Absolutely fantastic. Like I said, these are some of the, on IV, we have some of the most aggressive and skillful gun players that we have in the game. These dudes are hard to deal with on a good day. On a bad day, it's over.
You know, I saw, I think at one point, someone was hiding in the corner in storage, and I thought they were going to knock off Proxy, because I don't think Proxy was expecting a player to be there, but they saw them, flicked right to them, and knocks them down. I'm like, what was that? What was that? And then, you know, to your point, going in for the clear. Proxy is definitely one of those players, I've said it before and I'll say it again, a top entry fragger, someone who goes into a site, can have that confidence because they know they can clear it. And it's always exciting to see. I love it. It feels truly kind of like a John Wick moment, right? Someone who goes in and just knocks players down left and right. And I love to see it here as we come into this upcoming second half switch. Now we are going in for the reset. So this will be the pistol round as Swift taking on Carter. They're almost trading some people here, but nothing quite yet as chip damage coming out. And we'll see how they do handle this second half.
I have to say, what an aggressive push from Carter. He completely tried to just stroll through the static and get an early pick off, but Swift did have, you know, purchase on that and got the reply off. But if he hadn't, that could have been pretty disastrous. We've seen that from both sides now. Proxy with that bold push straight in on bottom floor, and now Carter trying to go straight in. Now throwing an incendiary out, throwing a smoke out. Now's the time to push in. However, Carter's blocked off with an incendiary, and Slitzo takes him down in return as Swift gets flashed, but not much to get them. IVI still has a pretty good hold on the point. They're just trying to figure out, you know, what they can get, what they can stop on the offense as Hero leans in, nearly takes out Proxy. Proxy gets taken out by Kai, but in return, Swift gets the refrag. 10K pushing in from Gravel, but doesn't quite get taken down as Blaze takes down another, and Gizmo takes down 10K. That is a 5-2 lead from IVI over Fusion. They are not here to play. Or that, rather, they are here to play, but they're not here to play. I don't know. You know what I mean.
Yeah. Let me know what you mean by that, Plague.
Yeah.
What do you mean
give me
by
a couple business days to decide.
I mean, their defense is looking, their offense looked great, but their defense is also looking really good. IVI has a lot of discipline, a lot of great cross angles covering each other, making sure that they don't have any open gaps. There was just nothing that Fusion was able to do to get in. They needed their util to either take somebody out, or they needed it to create some space and deny some util throws of IVI's own. But even when like incendiaries came out, util came back out from IVI, blocking them off and making the entire thing a wash. Fusion's got to really find a way to get this, to get their angle into sight, get a couple unfair like 2v1, 3v1s in, or some lucky nade and incendiary kills in to get this purchase into sight that they need. It's going to be even harder now that they're on an eco disadvantage.
Do you think there's any comeback for Fusion, honestly, at this point? Or are we just going to a map 2 at this point?
Yes.
Really? You're giving a lot of credit to Fusion. I'm excited to see what they can come out here.
I don't know how realistic it is, but I know there is definitely, there's 100% a chance. We've seen odder things happen. As Slitzo gets pushed in on immediately, Swift as well gets pushed on, but gets saved by Proxy. But anyway, gets refragged by Mac. Regardless, Proxy pushing out into lockers, very aggressive push as Hero tries to get a lean peek off, but Mac gets blind fired. Mac trying to just push out. Unfortunately, that play space nerf hit him pretty hard. And the nade from Blaze, that's the definition of an S-tier frag, as Hero now stuck alone in lockers on a 1v3. Maybe I spoke too soon on the comeback, Martini.
Hero on a hero's mission at this point, taking on a 1v3 here. I mean, Blaze, Proxy, and Gizmo. I don't know if I want to be staring down those barrels having to take on this, as I think Proxy just sees the sliver of a player coming in there and knocks him down for the count. IVNA 6-2.
The play space on that was nuts. Yeah, they had a good start. They were able to aggro in, clear out a bunch of space, get their purchase into hatch room and lockers that they needed. But they weren't watching for that door. They weren't watching the swing out that they had to have known was going to happen. And they were able to just get cleaned out. This script immediately got flipped. The man disadvantage swung hard from Fusion all the way into IVI's hands. It was just cascading, and there wasn't anything that they could do. Again, IVI is able to get those refrags. They're in positions that they need.
Yeah, I don't know, Plague, I know you said there might be a possibility here, but Fusion, I think we saw them pull out one of the more aggressive tactics there. They swung so hard into those lockers there, and it kind of was working out, but Ivy is just, I hate to say, they're just that good. When you have a player like Proxy, yeah. I would not want to be fighting, Proxy in a 1v1 anytime soon, and we've seen Proxy several times in this game alone. Knockout players, which I'm going to be honest, I thought had a more advantaged position than a Proxy here, but they still somehow, man, look at this Proxy getting so much chip damage on Mac here and getting no damage themselves. Gets a pick on the back in there on Carter. I think at this point Proxy's just feeling crazy on the ego, honestly.
Their Gizmo got a clutch nade kill as well. That leaves Fusion down already 2 players, and this is what we were talking about in the beginning, Martini. Normally, before the changes, I feel like Fusion would have definitely been a bit more aggressive, pushing in, hip firing, because they knew they could play space it out. But right now, they're having to really be a lot more strategic about where they're going in. Obviously, I'm over-exaggerating a bit. They have very good skill. They have very good gun skill. They have very good utility and everything in between. I say that as they flash themselves, unfortunately.
Oh, Proxy getting
Proxy
knocked
doesn't
down
check his
by
corners.
And the wall banks have just been murdering them, as again we're down to 10k. Unfortunately, no trip mines to utilize for them to get any picks at this point in a 1v4 here against the IVNA. This is a do or die moment. It's time to get the 2k. Almost going for the third there. Can they go for another? No. That is going to be it for Fusion here, as IV takes the first map win at this point. And talk about a beautiful one. 7-2. Dare I say, a pretty definitive win by Ivy, because they got so many points on attack, and really it was just about securing whatever they had left on defense.
I was hoping for the clutch play to happen from 10K, getting those first 2 hits, and he was about to have the swinger's advantage onto the third. I was really hoping it was gonna happen. Just that static ended up ruining his day, and Sleetzo was able to finish him off from an off angle. Oh, it would have been so good to watch that go into 6-3, though, off of that 1v4.
Yeah, I don't know what to say, gentlemen.
I mean, yeah, what do you feel about the performance you had seen here today? We saw IV, I think, get so many great rounds for themselves here. And Fusion trying their best to fight against them, but when you got players like Proxy, who's getting 2-3Ks consistently, you have so much going well for IV. How do you fight against that?
Now, you have a lot going for you if you're Ivy, but I think Fusion, I've been talking about their playstyle. I've been talking about how they were, nerfed a bit by the changes, but Fusion can sit with the best. We've seen them do that over this entire season. I think really what you need to do if you're Fusion, I honestly, if I was Fusion, I might have taken a timeout just to really collect myself, think about maybe what map or side I would want, and just get some strategies going, because right now it feels like they are coming off of a pretty rough loss. A 7-2 loss is not good for anyone's mental, and especially not for Fusion. So if you call your timeout and get just maybe some momentum off of IVI and just kind of collect your thoughts, it might work a little better than just going straight into the next map. I don't know. I feel like with Fusion, they need to collect their thoughts. They need to get some more utility going. We saw, obviously, 10K with those trips, but other than those trips, we didn't see a lot that was really being super useful in the way of like smokes or flashes very much from Fusion. It's what I've been seeing a lot since the buffs for the flash. People are still doing the same thing they were before with the flashes, which is toss it into a room and then take too long so it wears off immediately. If you use the flash, you need to use the flash because the other team can't see you. But if you're just going to flash them and do nothing, it really doesn't do anything.
I mean, there's a lot of things prohibiting them from being able to act on their util. It just continual incendiaries, anti-smokes, pre-fires just coming out, making all of those util usages from Fusion just useless. Not saying that they weren't good util spots, it's just Ivy was just better at reacting to them. This is, again, a team that won the last season for a reason. They're nasty, nasty players.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what Ivy does on the second map. To me, this is really going to be Fusion trying to pull out their, I guess, trump card to see if they can do anything against Ivy. I believe they're the lower team here, so they should be choosing the second map theoretically. But I did want to give one last shout out, and of course, if you have not been paying attention, it's coming up pretty soon here. Don't forget, VRML Con 2025 has been confirmed for Phoenix, Arizona to be next month. You'll see, I think, everyone on this casting desk and a lot of the other Breachers casters there. So if you'd like to meet us all in person or join any of the tournaments and join the qualifiers, head online to the VRML Con website and make sure to grab your tickets. And hopefully, we can see y'all in Phoenix ourselves. I'd love to see everyone in person. It's exciting. Honestly, it's truly exciting to go in person and meet everybody. And there's nothing really that quite matches up to it, especially when you're on the casting side of it, right? We cast so much and do all these things at home, but doing it live, nothing beats it. It is another level of enjoyment and excitement, and that also is included for the spectator yourself. Seeing some of the top players in the world compete on stage and seeing how they do all these things live is just so exciting to check out. But it looks like we are going to be hopping into our upcoming map right now as we go right into Dam here. IB again on the defense against Fusion. I mean, what do y'all want to see? What do you think Fusion can do in this second map? This is where they have to come back, otherwise we will be having the series end early. Because again, it's a best of 3, right? So anyone who gets 2 wins first, it's going to end the series.
Go ahead, Shimmy.
Well, coming on to Dam, this is going to be a tricky map. Sometimes it is hard to attack Dam. Some of the spaces are so dang open that it's defender catered. But this top floor is a good starter for Fusion to get in on.
Yeah, and we can see that now as we're seeing 10K, Hero, and Kai all coming in through security. Seeing the drone, Proxy can't quite take down the drone because Fusion's good information. Again, very point central play from Fusion. We don't see any roamers. We see Carter really getting taken out, but he's going straight up to Proxy, who's getting live ping. Some great use of a flash to go in and take him out immediately as 10K takes down Proxy with that nade. Slitzo hoping to get some kills, but unfortunately goes down to 1 health, having to retreat back into the point, especially since he's holding on to an incendiary and a smoke. Heroes in the point right now. Extremely aggressive plays from Fusion that aren't necessarily working out. Mac, again, alone in point, gets taken out by Swift. Fusion needs to use their members. They're playing one at a time. They're pushing in one at a time, getting taken down. Kai and 10K need to play together. If 10K can plant, Kai can cover it, especially because there's no utility on the IVI side. They can utilize their numbers, which they're going to now. They just need to not peek alone.
Yeah, Kai picks up a pick on Swift there. 10K with the refrag. Doesn't matter. Blaze cleans it up. And that's going to give IV the win here. And that was coming down to the wire. I'm not going to lie. I thought Fusion might have been able to scrape something out here. But, I mean, just check out the bodies in this corner here. So much death in a single corner. And you're right. Fusion was almost just sending bodies down this corner, hopefully getting a pick.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they were just running one by one into that wall of gunfire. The triple P coming out from IV right onto the short connector. Like, it just continually, one Fusion member after another until it was just 10K and Kai left. Sure, they got the plant. They almost shored that up, but they would have absolutely had that had they not lost so many people so early before the plant.
Yeah, definitely rough. I mean, you can only send so many bodies hoping that it's going to work out. Most of the time it doesn't in the end, right? There's only 5 players on your team. You can only send so many down that hallway, or at least that little corner. But IV, again, showcasing why they perform well, holding out their own, I think, really well here. Again, we're going to have to see something different from Fusion. I'm not convinced that I think Fusion can beat IV right now. I saw good performances from them from the playoffs in general. But Ivy is just in such good form right now.
I say that, and also, like I was saying before, their strategy was nerfed a good bit. It was an applicable strategy, but unfortunately it hinged on something that the devs really just didn't like, and they took out. Now, Swift on a lean peak outside the store could be a good idea. However, he's a bit isolated from his team. Blaze with the trip kills onto Mac. That's going to be a fantastic pickup for the IVI squad, and a bit of a return on investment from 10K getting them so many times with his trips, right? Trying to get, even up the numbers a bit. Hero hoping to go up and plant possibly. They're going for a very aggressive peak. We've seen this from Fusion so far. It hasn't worked out just yet, but Fusion tries to get deep inside the point very quickly to surprise these players, but it seems like IVI has clocked that pretty well. Now we're seeing all the flashes and nades come out from these players as Kai gets the EMP down immediately. Doesn't get taken down by the incendiary. Sleet takes out 10K and Carter. It's just Kai and Hero stuck in the corner next to the EMP. Swift info peeks but doesn't see anyone. He backs straight up, takes down one, getting taken down by Sleetso, and that is round 2 in the hands of IVI. But I have to say, gentlemen, that first round felt like an eternity. I didn't even realize we were only on round 2.
It really did. It really did. I gotta say, the one thing that I do absolutely love about IVI is that they do not panic. As you called out, Fusion gets deep into sight, tries to kind of surprise their enemies. Especially when you have like a bunch of utility go down, they only leave you one avenue, which was the outside of those electrical generators that you can go around to go get, to go try and get some reclaim. That would have worked on probably most other teams. Most teams would probably have dashed around that and ran right into the people on model and into a crossfire with the people that were actually on the plant. But IV kept their guts about them, didn't care about the plant going down, knew that they could get it taken care of later. So they went over and dealt with the people on model instead of just trying to rush and panic. And that just gave them all of the man advantage they needed to just swing that as hard as they needed to clean out the last 2 that were on the plant.
I mean, just beautiful from Ivy. 2-0 already. I mean, dare I say we're running towards... I'm not going to say 6-0 the first half. That would be insane. That would be insane here.
Now, Martini.
Am I jinxing it? Am I
win F3. I was going to say, IVI had that done to them on the same exact
You know
map,
what? But this is a different Ivy. It's a beautiful frag coming out there from... Is that Gizmo a run-out frag? It knocks out, the Fusion attack, and that's what I'm saying. They're barely in the 30 seconds in the round, already knocked out by a run-out frag, which is very impressive, by the way. And they're down another player already by proxy there, as now 3 versus 5, as Fusion is trying their best to scrounge together what they do have left. Still not with the EMP in hand, though. I guess they're just going to decide to play this through and go for the picks.
Proxy's very quickly going to find himself in a rock and a hard place with the wall opening up. He's hoping to push out. Oh, he doesn't check to see if Hero's behind that box. Gets taken down. Flawless is off the table now. Carter immediately pushing straight in. Blaze doesn't see him. Trying to blind fire over this box. Might take out Swift. Does take out Swift, but he's stuck behind the box now. Hero takes out one. This is a very good situation for Fusion, or it would have been a little bit better if they had the EMP. Unfortunately, they're waiting a little bit. Sleet pushes up with his gun down. That's a blunder right there. That's going to be unfortunate, as now Gizmo is alone on a 1v3 Fusion looking to pick up their first round. But Gizmo can't be counted out just yet. That Cadillo is a powerful weapon. If he can just hit one headshot on these players, he'll take them down. So if he can just whittle them down. But Carter gets the kill with the Marui, and that is the first round in the hands of Fusion. They're now still down 1 round, but their economy is going to be much better now that they're holding on to 3 Maruis with the potential to buy 2 more.
That is unfortunate. So many picks happened against IV that they just were not prepared for. They didn't measure that, okay, somebody's going to be sitting behind the box waiting for a pick on the wall. Somebody's going to be pushing up and already inside of the bomb. This is something that Fusion has done already, and they just weren't ready for it. A lot more careless that round. Fusion also was a lot more measured. They were able to get into that site as an actual unit, not just running in onesie-twosie. They were able to get some really strong purchase and just absolutely shove Ivy out.
Dare I say, I think...
Onesie-twosie. I love, that's a very official term.
I'm wondering if that round came down to Ivy just feeling confident. They were down, by the way, they were up 2 players and somehow did not win that round out. I was kind of shocked to see Fusion honestly play a clutch play there in the very end, right? 3 players knocking down everybody in the end there. And I'm shocked. I'm always shocked when I see that sort of stuff here. But I think it does showcase, hey, Ivy, Fusion can still play as much as I was saying they couldn't, but it looks like they can here. And I'd be a little worried not to be too confident.
Now hoping to push in on the point. We're seeing a very wide roam from Gizmo on the other side. Actually, no, he's just inside the point. This map's just so big. Mac is roaming in. Prox goes off with Gizmo peeking out, barely not getting any shots off on Mac. If Mac had chosen to push in rather than out, he would have been probably taken out by that pre-fire. Again, Hero and Mac pushing straight into the point very aggressively. He doesn't have EMP. He's going in just slowly at a time. Some nades going through with Sleetzo and Blaze throwing a lot of shots out. Blaze waiting for the EMP to start. Nade goes straight to their feet, and that's gonna... Oh! Hero got some air with that nade, but Mac's still alive. Gonna die to this nade now. Not before he can flash the enemy team. EMP is down. It's crunch time for the IVI stack as 10K gets a 2K. Now trying to push through. Proxy has to get his gun up and take him out, but he gets taken out by 10K regardless. It is just Swift and Gizmo, one of whom is coming on the back line. He doesn't have a lot of time. 10K in his prime, taking out one. Gizmo trying to take out the other, but Kai takes him down, and that is going to be another win for the Fusion stack and keeping 3 rifles in hand.
That was a repeat of what we saw in round 2. Same setup, same approach, everything. They got Fusion got 2 people into sight, remained the rest on model. But for whatever reason, Ivy was not as careful as they needed to be when approaching that one, and they paid for it. 10K just dismantled everybody with Kai. Like, these 2 on Fusion are nasty, and they're catching Ivy in bad spots. Things that, I mean, maybe they've like things that on round 2 they were able to cover. They're just not able to cover right now. I don't know if maybe 10K and Kai just leveled up a couple bit, went Super Saiyan, or if, like you said, maybe they've gotten a little overconfident. They're in their heads now, Ivy, because they've lost a couple rounds, or they've lost a round or 2.
Yeah, I mean, this is IVNA, potentially one of those teams who might be seeing at VRMLCon. Of course, if you've not already bought your ticket for VRMLCon, make sure to go check it out. You might get to see potentially IVNA there, or Acer, or one of the other top-tier teams playing live on stage here, or maybe, dare I say, Fusion, if they decide to play and lock in and knock out some of these players here as Fusion now come into this upcoming round. And, you know, you're right. I'm wondering what's going on with Ivy. It feels like they've been kind of slacking the last couple rounds here. And I'm wondering if it's a confidence thing. Is it just Fusion just kind of decided, hey, we're not going to lose here today. We're going to play out this map, too, as hard as we can.
Well, I think what it is, Martini, is, you know, Fusion is playing a lot better when they have rifles in hand. Hero just completely sitting directly under the, I have to say, sitting directly under these IVI players. They have no idea. Same thing they did on the first round with pistols. Swift does take him out with the flick. Oh, that's gotta hurt if you're Hero. You had that entire push planned out and you get taken out. That's gotta hurt. They're doing the same thing they did on pistol round. I'm worried over here, Martini, because they're going in one at a time again, trying to get these picks, but it might not work out. They're going to get isolated. Kai's going to get taken out by this nade on his back. 10K trying to watch down the hall as Mac checks their flank, but again, a 5v3 as IVI takes out these Fusion players one at a time. They're making it easy on them. They're going in alone again, and Swift takes another one down. What is happening?
You know, it's just a 1v3 every single time.
No!
Max swings again, getting knocked down by 2. And of course, 10K deciding to try and get a 5K on their own. Unfortunately, not able to do that here as IVNA wins another round here. But I will say, that was a great run by the Fusion players, 2 in a row. But what happened there?
What I don't even know how to really portray my disappointment on that. I feel like Gordon Ramsay right now. What did I just watch? Because I just watched Hero go in, completely whiff the easiest pick he could have possibly had. He was cloaked. He had a headshot right onto Proxy, whiffed it, and immediately got taken out by an oral. And then Kai got absolutely trapped. Nades behind him, guns in front of him, completely alone. And then we saw like the same thing you talked about. One by one, those Fusion players just deciding they're going to charge in right into 4 people with guns, leaving 10K all alone to try and pull some magic that he just was not able to.
Jimmy, you didn't hear that? The new meta. That's the new meta.
Apparently, you know what? I've been sleeping. You're right. I'm just gonna stop right now. But what was that? Fusion was doing so well, and then that was just not the round.
Oh man, I just saw someone in League Gen say stop jinxing it, and I always say this. It's not me jinxing it, because if they could have done it, they would have done it. Let's be real. Controversial line, but
I've been told to tell you to stop jinxing it as well.
No, they call it Caster's Curse and Caster's Blessing for so many reasons, and I love utilizing it wherever I can, because people will yell at me about it, but who cares? As we come into the upcoming round, Confusion come back, finally get a 3-3, which I think puts them in a pretty good opening against IVNA for that second half. Defense here is 10K taking a lot of chip damage there. Oh, and a beautiful frag to finish it up there, leaving only 4 left on Fusion side.
The smoke goes down inside the wall breach. Is not great. Carter is inside the point because of the smoke cover, but Proxy is ready behind the bomb. Takes down one. Now Carter pushing through with the cloak, trying to take down another. Gets taken out by Sleetso. Now a 2v4. It's not looking good for Fusion, but it's not unwinnable. Hero with the unsilenced Marui is going to have a lot of bloom in his face, unfortunately. Flash goes in. Proxy does not get flash. Takes out one. Gets taken out by the other, but the refrag from Gizmo will get IVI now up 4-2 heading into our second half. And we've seen Fusion get extremely aggressive on their offense. I'm gonna guess they're probably gonna get pretty aggressive on their defense too.
I gotta say, like, Carter had such a good purchase into sight, but the planter decided to peek. He decided to peek instead of going for the plant. He could have gotten it right on that bomb, gotten it done, had his teammates cover him from the wall, gotten out, and they probably could have had the round, because Carter, being in the position he was the perfect place to be unexpected, to be obnoxious, and just delay any sort of retake. But unfortunately, with the EMP down in the middle of everybody's line of sight of IVI, it just was not in the cards anymore for Fusion. I think you're right, though. Looking at the setup right now, we're going to see a fairly aggressive defense from Fusion.
Yeah, hopefully Fusion can come back. They are down 2 points here. They got to do something. Otherwise, again, we'll be going home early, as this is only the second map of the series. IB up 1.
I say we won't be going home early because we still have Acer versus Valor.
I mean, early in terms of this series. You're right, though. We do have a show right after this, so please stick around. We do have the Acer versus Valor game coming up right after this one, if Ivy finishes up right here. Otherwise, who knows? We might go to a map 3 as 10K starting off with a pick already on Sleetso.
There's potential again for some dastardly trips from 10K. We'll see if it happens. Carter and Hero sticking on the point. Meanwhile, 10K unfortunately gets taken down by Blaze as he was on a lean peak. Carter getting pretty aggressive, pushing out, hoping to walk storage, but not getting any hits off. Trying to get anything off he can. He's alone on the B point. I'm curious if it's going to be an A or B push. Blaze gets pretty aggressive with his push-up, handing off his items, hoping to take out Mac. Mac on a lean peak, gets taken out by Blaze. Hero hopes to get the refrag, can't quite get it off. Blaze pushing up, throwing an incendiary to block Hero off from retreating. Now it's just Carter against an IVI 2-stack. He's ready there. Again, they throw the flash and don't do anything with it. They throw it in and then back off to B. I suppose as a distraction, he's now pushing out, hoping to flank them off. Now, Swift and Gizmo are not watching this way, so they might get caught off guard. Gizmo hears the sound cues, surely. He does hear the sound cues and takes out Carter. That is now a 5-2 lead for IVI. It's not looking great for Fusion. However, it's definitely not unwinnable.
No, and I think that came down to just sheer amount of gun skill, honestly. Again, they demonstrated all factory that they have superior gun skill. These are some of the most insane players, and they just stunted it again on this first round of attack. It's a lot for Fusion to come back from, but they do have the opportunities. It got close. That was a 2v1, and there was a possibility of a clutch round or a clutch, but just not enough. Especially running like that in such an open map. It was just asking for the refrag to happen. He did get that. He did get the first one, though. I will give him that.
Yeah, I'm wondering, can Fusion do this? Can they come back? Can they make this work against IVNA? And the closer and closer we get to the end here, I'm getting scared. You know, someone...
Stop jinxing it, Martini.
You know, I think Fusion's gonna lose, y'all. I think Fusion's gonna lose. So, so that means, therefore, they should win, right? If everyone is saying that somehow I truly have the best jinxing power in the community. Apparently, I didn't know this, but apparently I do.
No. The exact line you were told to say by someone in League VC was, sorry, in League Chat was, say that Fusion will win, therefore they lose. I don't know why he's ordering you to jinx it, but, you know, whatever, I suppose reverse psychology. Nade going out will take out Mac. That was a double utility to take out Mac on the back ball. That's going to be actually a free incendiary if IVI pushes up to loot the body. So just a return on investment there. Here on the back hall, just trying to figure out where these players are as Blaze pushing straight up towards the point. Kai and 10K on a lean peak as the smoke unfortunately goes a bit awry. Hero takes out Sleetso, hoping to push up, take out Blaze as well as Blaze gets taken out by Kai. Fusion now up a member, but they don't have much purchase onto the hallway. Proxy is stuck behind the box, going for a lean peek, nearly gets taken out. His team not really helping him, honestly. They're not going for the refrag. Now, 2v4, holding on to an Aril and a Spectral. Who gets the refrag, do you think? We take down Hero. Swift now pushing up, takes down Kai. It is now a 2v2. Health advantage does belong to the IVI stack as there is no stim on the Fusion stack. However, positioning-wise, Fusion does have the advantage because they can wait and get refrags. Meanwhile, they do have to get the EMP down on the IVI side if they really want to get it off. Util goes out as Carter pushes through the smoke. Swift does have his gun up as Carter does get flashed, I believe, through that smoke, but Swift needs to watch that smoke if he's not careful. Carter now on the right side of the wall, pushes out, does get taken out by Swift. It's just 10K, having to stall for about 35 seconds. Martini, do you think he can do it, especially now that he's flashed?
I do not know what happened to Fusion. The fact that they were up several players here, almost finishing this one up here as 10K trying to hold them down. Ivy gets a plant off at this point. I'm not sure what happened here. Swift finishes that one out here. And what happened? What happened when you have, I think, almost twice the amount of players on your side?
It just came down to holding a little bit too aggressively and just Swift and Gizmo, or they just kept they just kept swinging out with with precise aim on those pre-aimed spots. They just managed to continually get good shots onto heads and whittle down that man advantage that was held in Fuse's hands. It really doesn't come down to much more than that. They just purely stunted their own gun skill.
Like,
it's a little hard to break down because it really did just come down to they should not have won that. They should not have won that, but they did because they just have better shots.
That is heartbreaking. A round, which I'm gonna be quite honest, I thought was a guarantee. Even with the health difference, I'm not gonna lie. Even with the health differences there, I think Fusion still should have made it work out, right? They just kind of pulled back to side, had done something differently than what they had done there. Things might have looked a little different here, but looks like Carter getting called out by the other side. Frag going in there, a lot of damage as they get knocked out for the count there. I'm not sure what happened. I think Carter decided just to, they were going to die. Might as well take someone down with them here, as now Fusion on their potentially match loss round against IV and already down a player.
I have to say, I do like this new spectator glitch where we can see the poltergeist of some of these players when they die. You can see their outline, but not them when they're dead. I can just see like their death outline through the wall. Mac taking out Swift, that's immediately going to be numbers advantage even. However, we did have a disconnect on the Fusion side, maybe preemptively thinking they lost, but I think you got to keep some faith here in your team. Kai now pushing up towards the rest as Mac comes inside. Sleetso on the lean peak, backs up as Proxy takes out 10K. Proxy opening up the wall. Sleetso pushing into plant, no one to defend him. Kai about to stand up and try to take him out, but the inside takes down one. 2K from Kai, but gets taken down in return. Now it is just Hero versus an IVI 2 stack between winning or losing the semifinals for Breachers VRML Season 4. Hero pushing up, trying to take down Gizmo. Takes down Gizmo. Now it's a 1v1. Fusion. Hero has to get this kill off in order to continue on in the semifinals. And that is it. 7-2 win. Series win for IVI. Martini, we ended pretty early there.
You know, we did end pretty early here, but again, please stick around. We do have another upcoming match here between Acer and Valor. But before we even talk about that, what did we see here today, Shimi?
I mean, we saw some excellent gunplay from both teams. Fusion has a lot of... They had a lot of success with aggressive defenses. They had well, I say a lot. They had a lot more than other teams usually have. They were able to get some really good purchases, or sorry, some really good holds just by being aggressive on that defense and punishing any sort of hesitation on the offense. IVI, there's not much to say other than there was the reason that they were the last season's champions. But Fusion put up one dang good fight, and it looks like IVI did not take that loss that they had on Dam from the last week this season very kindly and really worked their stuff on it. That was a very different IVI than we saw previously on that F3 versus IVI match.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what we have for the upcoming matchups here, but I gotta give credit where credit is due. Ivy is a returning champion for a reason, as Shimi pointed out here, and I'm excited to see the upcoming matchup here, but unfortunately, Fusion is going to be going home today, but we will see them return tomorrow in the bronze match, so definitely tune back in tomorrow, see what's going to be going on for tomorrow in the bronze, and then eventually, obviously, the grand finals match between the top two teams, and it looks like IB is going to be one of the top two teams moving on to that tomorrow. Did want to give another shout out, of course, if you have not been paying attention. There's so much going on next month, but if you're not paying attention to the Qualifiers VRML Con 2025 has again been confirmed for Phoenix, Arizona. We'll all be there in person, and it'll be exciting to see everything happen live on the stage. You can see your casters, you can see all the players, you can see every single person that you could possibly think of live in Phoenix, Arizona. If you want to join any of the qualifiers, remember, head to the VRML Con website. You can apply to any of those tournaments and potentially grab one of the the 20K total prize pool between all the tournaments there. And if you want to and you don't have a team, you can also register as a solo player, and it will match you up with other solo players who form a team for you, so anyone can join these online qualifiers. Because I mean, if I were y'all, you know, it's potentially 5K on the line. Why not go for it and potentially pick that up for yourself here? But it looks like that will be it for this matchup between IBNA and Fusion. We will be back in not too long for Acer and Valor, so stick around. We'll be going on a quick break, but these teams will be getting ready pretty soon here. We'll see y'all in a second.
Prepare to
Only
start.
Baron left alive. Where is Baron? In the spawn. Can somebody
Go.
Spud in the bottom going absolutely crazy, getting the 2K.
Match point. Prepare to
Only
start.
Baron left alive. Where is Baron? In the spawn. Can somebody
Go.
Spud in the bottom going absolutely crazy, getting the 2K.
Match point. Prepare to
Only
start.
Baron left alive. Where is Baron? In the spawn. And somebody
Go.
Spud in the bottom going absolutely crazy, getting the 2K.
Match point.
Welcome back. Here we are. We'll be having Acer and Valor starting up pretty soon here. Again, today is the top 4 for the NA side of things. Whoever wins this game will be moving on tomorrow to the grand finals, confirmed to be a top 2 placement for this season. Whoever loses is going on to the bronze match. Unfortunately, I don't believe they get really much in terms of the prize pool, but they should get some sort of equipment. Someone double check me on that. I forgot what exactly they do receive here, but they will be going on to the bronze match. Again, both matches are being casted tomorrow, so definitely stick around tomorrow to check out those 2 upcoming matches. As we just seen, IBNA can be confirmed in the top 2 for tomorrow, and then we're going to be seeing Fusion unfortunately go on to the bronze match. But hey, maybe they can still fight for 3rd place for this season here. Of course, I have Plague Doctor and Shimi on the casting desk with me today. What are we expecting to see from this game?
Honestly, Martini, I'm expecting to see quite a bit, because if we look at their history between these 2 teams, they've fought a lot over this season. In the beginning, we had Valor winning versus Acer in that first week. The next time, Acer beat Valor, and I believe the time after that, Acer beat Valor again. But then Valor came back, they did a challenge, and I believe Valor beat Acer. This has just been a back and forth, fighting for a spot and just fighting for victory. It all comes down to this. I honestly was expecting, if it wasn't going to be Acer versus Valor in this matchup, I was expecting it to be, honestly, the finals between Acer and Valor, just because they've been such top contenders this season.
Definitely. These 2 teams have an absolute axe to grind with each other. They have been at each other all season. And it's 2 very different views and modes that they play. Valor is significantly more cautious and measured of a team, very, very reliant on strats and positioning, while Acer, they play extremely well together. They have a lot of fluid motion, but they are extremely aggressive. As you've seen from that old Acer all the way till now, they've always dominated when they have been as aggressive and in their opponent's faces as possible. I'm expecting to see a lot of trade plays, a lot of rounds going back and forth, a lot of switch ups. This is going to be a total slugfest.
Hey, Shibby, you know what to compare it to is I'll just say it, a more refined version of the strats Fusion was trying to use in the previous matchup we were just watching, where Fusion was pushing straight in, trying to catch the other team off guard. I think Acer just has really refined that strategy over time.
Yeah, definitely
Acer
exciting
was
to
more-
see. One last point. Yep.
Sorry, Acer was more or less the ones that kind of pioneered that absolute aggression in your face play style. They've done it ever since season 0, and that is what gave them such dominance. But teams that have refined their strategy, their ability to play together, to play off of meta angles with triple peaks and immediate refrags, that is what Valor is specialized in. And that's why we see that constant trade back and forth. If one team is just slightly off step on their match, it goes in the other team's favor.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Acer comes out here in terms of aggression. We are going to be going right into Hideout here. Obviously, one of the, I always call it the bread and butter. You got the factory as the bread, and you got the butter, which is Hideout, which has been used time and time again as we go right into this action here between these two teams. As I'm waiting for this transition to go right now at this point, but it's totally fine. Nothing has happened yet in the game. What is going on here?
I do have to say, honestly, this doesn't look like it's Valor's main roster. Typically, we've seen a different roster being put up. Obviously, Crimson is typically there. We do see Red and Gyms, but actually one of the newest additions to Valor, iAdapt, is actually playing here in the semifinals. We'll see how he does in this matchup. Now we're seeing Crimson on a repel towards A Theater, trying to just get these shots off on any players inside A, with LFT taking a couple hits, but not too bad. Both teams holding on to some Spectrals, just trying to get that headshot critical damage as iAdapt phones up the wall in Theater towards the piano. LFT has some pretty good cover from it, but he won't for very long if he stays too far up on the table. Kha'Zix has no cover if the wall blows. Looks like he realizes that, goes a bit farther back as Red is droning it out for his team. Valor playing this relatively carefully. They seem to be committing to an A push rather than a garage push, and feels like Acer has identified that, seeing as they have two people sitting on the A point. Kha'Zix watching very, very carefully on the door, trying to see any glimpse of any player he can to take them down.
You know, talk about a long, drawn-out round. We've only seen a little bit of chip damage coming on the LFT here, but finally the attack now being sprung out here as they do take shots in Crimson, knocking out LFT there. Tech9 caught in the middle of a smoke grenade there as they get picked up too, and it looks like Acer being knocked down left and right here as Kha'Zix now playing the smoke again here. Goes for the swing. iAdapt, though, does get knocked down, unfortunately, but it gets refragged there from them. And Uncle Ron coming on the back end there, and Hotline coming in hot, leaving only Crimson and Red left to fend for themselves here. 30 seconds left in the round. Talk about a fast round that happened. I think everything happened in the last 30 seconds here.
EMP now planted with Crimson out in Theater, hoping to just get some good shots down. They need to play their numbers. Red is watching Garage, leaving Crimson alone to fend for himself. Now Crimson's down. It is up to Red, who has to go against a Acer 2-stack. Again, Acer needs to now play their numbers. We have Hotline, who's very low on the con, who can go for the defuse while Uncle Ron covers him. But if Uncle Ron is in Theater, it's going to be rough for Red to get this off. Red now pushes out next to Piano, gets taken out by Hotline and Uncle Ron, and that is going to be round 1 in favor of Acer. Now, we have seen in the past that Valor... Hideout is not Valor's map. Typically, we saw in Season 3 and in some of Season 4 where they somewhat avoided Hideout like the plague, and it seems like Valor's put in a lot of work to recover that. They got pretty close on that last round, so I'm curious to see if they can get their feet under them here and just start going into it.
Yeah, I will say, though, with Valor, we just saw exactly what we had mentioned previously, where they play very strategically. They let all of their util do all that work for them. Put every one of those Acer players into awkward positions where they weren't able to refrag easy. They weren't able to peek easy. And every time an Acer player would take somebody out, it would also result in them dying. That being said, Hotline and Ron made that work and just put in a lot of effort to get those off-angle picks, to start really throwing all these Valor players for a loop, finishing out that 2v2 post plant. The bait that Hotline did with the EMP onto Red, who was last alive, giving Ron that beautiful peek onto him to finish out the round. Excellent done. Like, excellently well done. These are top tier players for a reason.
Yeah, Acer is showcasing why they are Acer, of course. But hey, this is only the first round here as Valor can showcase what is going to happening right now. Coming up here is Uncle Ron and Kha'Zix playing aggressive on this defense here, playing a little bit extended from the side here. As Valor, again, looks like they're going to be taking their time, really feeling out where they want to attack. My guess is probably still going to be B. But talk about a well spread out team here from Valor. I think they're just basically going for roaming clears at this point.
Well, so the reason why is because Acer has been known in a few of their past matches, Martini, to be holding the garage behind the little partition here. And Valor knows that. Valor knows that there have been players on Acer who got pretty aggressive on their roam, and so they're checking it. But Acer also probably identified that. They know they've done that strat against Valor, so they changed it up a little bit. Uncle Ron now waiting beside the door. Will not get hit by this nade. That's pretty lucky. If he had, it would have been rough. Kha'Zix gets taken out on the back hall. LFT trying to go for the refrag, but gets blocked off by the incendiary. That'll give Jim some forewarning that someone's coming out. Blocks off LFT and Hotline again. They have full claim over B. LFT and Hotline having to push through the connector into their own points, but Jims is not ready for it. Jims has his gun up as LFT takes down Red with some trips. Jims could push through if he really wanted to. He doesn't know these players are there. LFT pushes out, gets taken down, but Hotline goes for the refrag, takes him down. Blossom, Crimson, and IDAP need to play their numbers. They need to not play alone. As long as they can just play together, they can play their numbers. That will work out a lot better. It seems like Hotline may actually be going for a save, however. He has an Omen. He has a Stim. Yeah, it looks like he's going to be going for a save, which is probably, I mean, what else are you going to do at this point? You have a Stim. You have an Omen. Obviously, if he could see the health on Crimson or IDAP, he might go for it just because he could get them down pretty quick and remove some economy from those players, but he doesn't. He doesn't know how low they are, so he's going for the save, keep his Stim, keep his Omen, and keep a lot of his economy.
Yeah, I mean, this definitely is the decision to make, I think, for Acer. And talk about a chaotic round, right? Valor had, again, a very slow windup, but talk about aggression on their attacks. I feel like the execution has done a lot better of a job than I thought they would against Acer. They knocked down so many players early on in that round there.
I mean, this is proving right now that SMGs are a lot bigger of a factor this season in Breachers, because we saw the aggression stacked with those 4 Omens, just managing to put so much damage onto those Acer players that they couldn't react with pistols. Granted, right now Acer's looking pretty dang set with all that money that they have in their pockets. Hotline still sitting at 3K, and he only still has that Omen. Uncle Ron's got enough to buy a rifle. A bunch of SMGs coming out from everybody, and they still have money in the pockets for util. While over on Valor, it's a little bit spread thin, but because they got that win bonus, they are able to get some Vezins in their pockets. Smart move from them, just trying to force the round win, get that win bonus. But they're still not set as probably nice as they would like to be. Still, slightly better gun advantage over Acer.
Again, this is what I was talking about earlier. Valor is known to go for some pretty aggressive buys as soon as they have money, and that's exactly what they're doing here. They had enough for 3 Vezins. They're going to use that money to get 3 Vezins, being very aggressive about it, which is going to be an advantage or a disadvantage. If they win this round, they're going to have a pretty good advantage when it comes to their economy, but if they lose, they're going to be down 3 Vezins, which is not a situation you want to be in at any time, because that's money down, that's economy down, and that's morale down, because now you know the other side has your 3 Vezins if they have enough people alive. Top 4 is also not the greatest of points to be pushing in on if you're Valor, because Acer does have some pretty good spots. We're definitely going to see some pre-nades coming out. Valor probably going to be tossing a nade back behind to the toilet here where Hotline is about. Going to be seeing a lot of utility being dumped as soon as this wall gets blown. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, Acer getting ready for this defensive hold right now. LFT playing a little aggressive, though, on that angle. Maybe sending out that roamer there, which is, I don't see it too commonly pushed from that side, at least that deep through that bedroom area. So we'll see if it does have a breach coming out here now with that deep. I know it was a frag, but it looks like frags coming in on both sides. A little bit of chip damage there on IDAPT and Crimson. As they said, again, more utility down that Acer defense here. Can Valor, though, get this EMP planted down, or just going to wait out the utility here, as it looks like the Incendiary now coming out, holding down and zoning down that attack now, and Valor now having to wait out that Acer Incendiary, and no deaths. Surprisingly, no deaths. A lot of chip damage from the frags and utility, but no deaths here, which is going to be definitely a crazy thing as coming out.
Now, there's still one Incendiary over on the Acer side. So Valor needs to get this EMP started so that the... Ooh, no. Hotline takes down Crimson with a fantastic shot through the smoke. That's going to be a rough pick for the Valor stack. They still need to get in and take down the EMP. Blossom now pushing in. They just have to defend it with gunplay now. No one's defending Blossom. Where are the comms? Tech9 takes down one. It is just Red who's having to defend this last one, and Red gets taken down. That is Acer going up yet another round. Now 2-1 over Valor, and I don't know, it was a bit of a misplay. They had the EMP going down, but nobody was there to defend him from Kha'Zix simply just strolling on up and taking him out.
I mean, Acer had so much util to put off people to take out that plant. If you didn't notice, Hotline had 2 grenades and 2 incendiaries. One of each on his chest, one of each sitting right in front of him next to the shower box. They were ready. They know how to defend that point. This Acer has always been nasty on Hideout. And this is just another example of them being as disgusting as they possibly can. Valor wasn't able to get the purchase in, especially as you called out. This is not Valor's favorite map. But they've put up an excellent fight so far. They still have enough money to bring out 2 Maruis. There's a possibility of them still pulling a couple more attack rounds in their favor. Asking to go against this line of Vezins and Maruis from Acer is a lot, though.
Yeah, this Acer defense is looking deadly right now, and Valor's got to do something different here in order to really switch up and maybe gain momentum right now against the Acer squad, as again, they are double checking this area. LFT, though, finally playing on that second floor. Never mind, it might be a drop there
disconnect
as they turned into bot Michael, so maybe they'll get a pick on.
Disconnects.
Oh!
Tech9 is also disconnected downstairs.
This is going to be a fun Acer round. Can they do something with the bots here? I guess if you're going to have a bot, it's going to be on the defensive side is my guess here. But it looks like there's a third. Oh,
where's Acer going?
Interesting.
Uh-oh. Someone DDoSing Acer? Wait, Valor also... Hold on. Are the Breachers servers having issues? That's 3 disconnects now. They're coming back in. Okay, we're having players funnel back in, but that
is funky.
4 disconnects, 3 on one side, 1 on the other. That is extremely odd. Regardless, players are filtering back in. Minute 20 left on the clock. Players probably in a bit of disarray, but trying to just get it figured out. Hotline waiting with a nade. Valor needs to probably just get in and start pushing at least. They have a minute left on the clock. They haven't even reached the floor the bomb is on yet.
Yeah, definitely a weird start to the round, burning a lot of time. Only 1 minute left in the round. Looks like we're going to be seeing actually a switch up now, where the attack is coming on the A side here. LFT picking up IADAP and being able to bank that and go for potentially running back. Here's Blossom waiting for potentially a person coming out with a beautiful incendiary, knocking out Blossom down for the count. And talk about dangerous, as Jim's now having a fight against this 1v5 here. But Hotline decides to end this one a little bit early as Acer gets another round win in the pocket. Talk about a weird round.
Yeah, that was a very odd round. And like, one thing I will say, that was a fantastic wall bang from LFT. You know, it kind of caught, I believe, Jim's or red-handed, as it may be, over on the stairs. You know, they were just creeping down silently, and then LFT shot at just the right time to hit him. A fantastic game sense thing. I think he probably heard their footsteps coming down the stairs.
That is just unfortunate, though. Just absolutely unfortunate. Everything went down the toilet when multiple players disconnected. Offense had to stop their push. Defense wasn't able to really do a ton. Luckily, didn't quite matter since the offense hadn't made it to the right floor yet. But getting pushed down to 1 minute when everybody's back and they finally were ready to execute, that's not where you want to be when you're offense, especially when you're Valor and everything has a step-by-step process. They had to kind of throw everything out the window and just get into cellar as fast as they could to go try and get something going, not try and waste and squander the round.
Yeah, definitely such an awkward round to be starting off with, and I, feel bad for both teams. I think for a moment it almost felt like everything was in standstill as nothing happened for a good minute and a half going to that previous round here. But hey, we're off to a new round, and everyone, I believe, is back in the lobby here. And again, we're seeing LFT playing that aggressive roamer role, playing on that third floor, maybe trying to pick up some of these Valor players that are going on that third floor here, and maybe get some roaming value here. But we'll see if that does come up eventually, as Valor, again, taking their time, really feeling out this round. We've seen them attack this site before, and especially on this exact side, it did almost work out in their favor, but we'll see if they can make the action happen a little differently this time around, as Uncle Ron playing aggressive on that garage.
Now trying to push through. You can see Acer really just moving as a cell. They have people on garage. They have people, LFT alone on roam. Meanwhile, iAdapt pushing straight into the garage alone. Unfortunately, gets taken down by Hotline and Uncle Ron. Hotline and Uncle Ron have a pretty good foothold on the garage. Now Uncle Ron going a bit aggressive, trying to push out the door. Crimson info peeking him as well as Uncle Ron takes down one, gets caught in an incend, but gets taken down in return. Now Kha'Zix and Tech9 rotating back into point, throwing some wall bangs out, but again, it is Jims alone against an Acer 3-stack, and the headshot through the wall by Tech9 Jr. is going to take Jims down. Acer up 4-1 over Valor. It's a big lead here.
That garage defense continually showing that it is absolutely beautiful when you can pull it off right. One specific thing that I saw was Ron getting shot at by iAdapt. iAdapt trying to chase him down get into the garage as Ron passed by the van, and immediately Hotline re-swung right as Uncle Ron dipped out of view, getting that headshot, and then Ron immediately positioning himself to get 2 more picks. These guys have some insane chemistry, able to just play off each other on a dime. That is impressive team cohesion.
Yeah, Acer is one of those teams that for many seasons I would give them such a hard time because I knew they were that good. Remember, I'm not an Acer hater. I just give them a hard time and nitpick them because they're one of those teams that have stood the test of time. Right? They have stood the test of time and have made the dynasty.
Over here, Martini.
Yeah.
I'm not the Acer Glazer, but I'm a man that appreciates people that do play pretty well, and it just happens to be that Acer is one of those teams that plays very, very well here. As this upcoming round comes again, Valor, I think we'd seen them attack this site too, didn't quite work out that other time there as Acer really shut them down. LFT again playing that aggressive roam roll. Maybe we'll get value there, but it's funny to see how Acer keeps playing this aggressive roamer. Sometimes they get value, sometimes they don't. LFT deciding it looks like they're coming back to site pretty soon here, as this A attack will be developing from Valor pretty soon here.
Compliments to LFT. He got droned out, and he knew that his flank was at that point just done. So he backed up, went back to point, knew he could help his team in other ways rather than trying to stubbornly stick to the point. Hotline back behind the bathtub does not get incend out somehow, so he's going to be fine to just wait it out. Meanwhile, Crimson and iAdapt both trying to push through. iAdapt trying to put the EMP down, just drops it on the floor, but that is going to be an incend down for the Acer stack. But Valor's down a lot of health currently. It's not a good situation to be in if you're Valor. iAdapt trying to push in with Hotline, ready to take them down. If iAdapt puts down this EMP, someone needs to be covering iAdapt. If they don't, it's going to be just a really rough situation to be in. Nade goes out, hoping to take down Crimson or iAdapt to try to go for the EMP. As Tech9 takes out 2, takes out another, hoping to take down Crimson as well, as Tech9 does get taken down. Now Crimson almost takes on LFT as well, but the back line takes down Uncle Ron. It is just LFT and Kha'Zix and Connector. EMP is down, but both of these Valor players are exceedingly low. Doesn't matter as Crimson takes out LFT. It's Kha'Zix. They need to just get these players down as Crimson pushes in with the flash down and takes down Kha'Zix. And that is Valor getting their second round of the matchup, clutching out I believe a 2v4.
The fact that they were, well, it came down to a 3v3 at one point. Ron swung, got one, and then got immediately refragged. But the fact that both of them were like, the fact that both Crimson and I believe it was Jims were on 2 and 5 health respectively, able to finish that out, take out LFT and and Kazakhs to finish out the round. I thought it was going to go in Kazakhs' favor. All he had to do was graze each one of them, and it would have been his round. But instead of trying to play angles, try and play it safe, where they honestly probably would have had a likelier chance of being grazed. They just decided to say screw it and just force Kazakhs into the gunfight and get the headshot. Insane idea. Weird play. But it worked, and Crimson was able to finish out that round for his team, get that second point on the board that they absolutely need right now.
Oh, man. I mean, this is still pretty good in Acer's favor, though. 4-2 coming into their own attacking round, of course, on Hideout of all maps, which already I think is, attacker-sided. And I would argue, with the blinding, the flashes now, there's a buff to the attacking side here. So Acer's looking really good form here. This is where they should be capturing and obviously winning out. I don't want to say obviously because, another caster's curse thing apparently, but I expect them to potentially win this one out here as they are coming down to their own second half here. Crimson waiting with that Incendiary in hand to see if that Acer attack will come in and maybe pick up some players, but they decide to peel off now as LFT has actually taken full control of Garage with no aggression.
Yeah, Valor sticking pretty close to point, other than Jims, who's over kind of near theater, over near piano. I'm surprised to not see him up on the desk, maybe. Throws out a smoke. There wasn't really anyone contesting him, as Crimson does get taken out by Uncle Ron, and then Uncle Ron kind of wisely backs off straight to the rest of his team. Jims can't get the refrag, but the rest of his team's getting pushed in on B. As Kazakhs, Hotline, and Tech9 are pushing up, IDAP goes for a very aggressive push. Does take Hotline down, a good bit of health, hopes to run out of Laundry Door, but can't quite get it off as IDAP takes down one. Blossom takes down another as Hotline takes out Blossom, but not before. IDAP takes him down. Now it is just Kazakhs stuck in Laundry. It gets taken on. Now it's just Uncle Ron, the only full health player left on the field, but it doesn't matter as Jims and IDAP take him down. That is Valor getting their third round of the map. Still in it, trying to get this down.
Oh, the liquid positioning that Blossom and IAdapt had to react to all these Acer players pushing against them. Very, very good. They were able to just keep putting chip damage down, keep forcing that health lower and lower on both, I think it was 4 different Acer players between the 2 of them. That's what shored up their round. Like, for instance, Ron was able to get that pick, get a little bit of attention over onto that side. I thought that was about to go into Acer's favor. I thought they were about to blow both walls and storm in. But luckily, those 2 on Valor were able to keep the pressure off enough and put enough damage down to get that round in their pocket.
Oh, man, I don't know. I mean, seeing that defense come out from Valor there, maybe I was giving them too much of a hard time. Maybe Acer isn't as good as we thought they were. Dare I say it on cast that Acer might be able to get knocked down by Valor here, but who knows? I like saying for both sides because then no one can blame me for Caster's Curse because I said everything was possible, right? Is how I kind of look at it here as Acer now getting ready for this attack into this upcoming round. We'll see Valor, though, play a little aggressive with Crimson on that roaming value again. Potentially they can get something on that second floor here as Acer is getting ready for this setup here. A lot of shots coming out there from Blossom. Not quite tagging any of the Acer players yet.
I'm not liking how spread out this Valor stack is. There's only one person on point. Red is in storage, and Crimson's coming down the stairs. Now it's forming up a little bit better with Jims over on the door blocker. Uncle Ron taking down the proxy, but Crimson going up with the nade. Uncle Ron has to hide from it. It's going up straight towards that door, hoping to get some picks off if they try to come in. As an Uncle Ron gets pushed into the corner by the nade, but doesn't quite get taken down. That's both nades from Valor now down. Not much of a response from Acer just yet, as Red is on a lean peak, just making sure no one can come in without him seeing it, especially since that prox is down. Minute 30 left on the clock. Acer is taking this surprisingly slow.
Talk about, again, aggressive defense from Valor. We're seeing 1, 2, 3 players extended from the site here in this room, which I think is honestly one of the most important rooms, as Uncle Ron knocking down the Red, down for the count here. Crimson trying to go for the swing, picks up Uncle Ron with the blind fire there, leaving Jims and Crimson now to hold down, I think storage, right? It's called storage, the storage room here. Now against a 4v4 here for Acer. Looks like Acer actually going for the switch up, and IAdapt is going to be adapting.
Ooh, a good incendiary will take down LT. That's EMP down. IDAP can just be patient, just wait by that doorway. There's going to have to be a very quick adaptation from the Acer stack to get this down. They're now pushing in through Wine Cellar, hoping somebody was on the flank. Jim's waiting inside game room, is going to see a couple as Hotline tries to push in with Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix watching down the hall, but doesn't really have his gun pointed towards the right spot. Jim peeks out, takes out Hotline, takes out Kha'Zix, and Crimson takes out Tech9 on the other side. That's going to be Valor evening it up 4-4 and showing they have the chops on defense for Hideout. Seems they're on their stronger side now.
That switch up absolutely ruined Acer's chance to be able to get into anything. Losing the EMP in the window, just thinking that they were going to be able to have that. Sure, not a bad idea in theory, but in practice, what ended up happening was somebody had an instant on top of a static. That took away your EMP. Never have the EMP enter first. It's just too risky. And the scramble that just happened from the remaining Acer players to go try and figure out, okay, how do we get the CMP back? How do we deal with this? We're already on a gun disadvantage. Just, it was not Acer's round. It was not going to happen for them. But they did save up enough money to at least get 2 full buys and 3 SMG buys. Meanwhile, over on Valor, they do about have the same, just 1 more Marui as opposed to Acer.
All right, so we're at the equalizer here, 4-4. Momentum's coming in for Valor. What are we feeling? Do we feel right now it's an Acer win or a Valor win? Because honestly,
I don't
Valor.
feel comfortable saying, honestly.
What'd you say?
I don't feel comfortable making. I don't feel comfortable making an assumption, honestly, at this point. Well, maybe with that another Acer disconnect, maybe I feel a little more comfortable now. Valor might win this round, but I don't know. Things can swap so quickly when it comes to Breachers, Martini, especially with teams at this level. As soon as you get man advantage, things can just swap back and forth, especially on top floor. We've seen this on both sides where, you know, you can really just flip the play over on its head as soon as you get one thing going good for you.
Yeah, we've seen Acer come back time and time again, so I'm not going to say it's impossible for them to come back from this current losing streak against Valor, but I will say Valor is putting up a valiant fight for sure here, as they are getting ready for this push from the Acer squad. Jims and Crimson playing aggressive on his team.
Very aggressive from Jims. I don't know, man. Or Martin, I don't know if that aggressive push was really the right play. They lost 2 players in return for 1. And now there's 3 full health players on both sides, but I don't know, Martini. That was just really risky play. EMP is down on stairs. That is a good thing, but I adapt, again, getting super aggressive with low health. I just feel like playing your numbers at this point. You're up on people. Don't play separate. Don't get too aggressive. I think Crimson as the IGL needs to be calling the shots here. You're calling these individuals right now. Hotline and Tech9 are going to be getting individual kills if they're not careful. IDAP doesn't care, takes down 1 and takes down the other, I'm putting words in his mouth, but he's getting those kills regardless. And that is now Valor up a round. That is 4 rounds in a row for Valor now, Martini.
They have managed to keep this wall on defense, just continuing to win defense round after defense round. That's not usual. That's not normal for Hideout. Like Martini said earlier, this is typically an offense-sided map. Typically, you're expecting to see a 4 on the offense, 2 on the defense before side swap. Seeing somebody just continually going 3 rounds on defense, especially at this high level where it's supposed to be 2 teams next to evenly matched, is pretty nuts. Valor is just having a really good defense. They slipped up a couple times with that aggressive, with some aggressive plays that they didn't need to do, but they've been able to shore back up, slowly position themselves into where they need to be to chip down that man advantage. They're not going for crazy ego swings. They're not going for all-star plays. They're going for safe, well, not necessarily safe, but calculated, well thought out plays to force people into 2v1s and 3v1s.
Yeah,
and this is just something they've always been great at.
Yeah, Acer's been falling, honestly, for a quick minute here. I'm almost worried if they can't shake this momentum right now, because it is ramping up for the Valor players, and this is one of those moments they got to knock it back either now or the upcoming round, as Uncle Rondo knocking out Crimson on the back end there. And that's actually going to be a vital pick for the Acer players here. Finally, some advantage for them, as again, they have been struggling the last couple rounds here.
You know what the funny part is there, Martini? That is basically like Crimson takes that peak a lot when he's on offense. You got taken down by his own peek when he was trying to peek through. He should have known the danger of that. Hideout throwing a nade into the back corner. We'll take LFT down a little bit of health as Kha'Zix hoping to push through. Tech9 is on Laundry. We'll clear it out, but we don't really see Valor sit on Laundry too much. They're a pretty non-aggressive team on this floor. They typically sit back a little bit more. Jims and I adapt, holding one side. Red and Blossom holding the other, but then I think I adapt takes down LT, but Hotline gets the refrag on I adapt. Now a 3v4. Jims gets caught in an incendiary and a nade. A lot of utility being dumped, but they're getting returns on all of those investments. Now it's just Blossom and Red. If I'm Blossom and Red, do I save my Marui and my Ariel at this point? We're up around. Oh, bot David, Red leaves as well. I think the Breacher servers are having some issues with the team. There's 3 bots in this one server right now, Martini.
Yo, sorry about that. I had like an alarm going off right now as it looks like Acer finishes that one up there. Sorry about that, y'all. I had an alarm going off in my back. It was like a fire alarm. I was just double checking everything. Nothing was burning down. Sorry about that, y'all. What did I miss?
A lot of disconnects. A lot of disconnects happened, but ultimately Acer was able to push down, get a lot of util into that site, get a lot of people low, finish them off with gunfire. I mean, they ended up just kind of raining hell inside of the site to try and get that man advantage. Getting that 3v2 worked out, and then just did a little bit of luck, a little bit of extra luck, getting one player or having one player disconnect on Valor's side, where the bot just walked right into the gunfire of another Acer player, pushing it into a 3v1. Awkward, weird, awkward round. We're having some weird issues right now with the Breacher servers, but Acer's not giving up. They're not done. They brought this back to a tie.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we might need to do a switch up or even take a quick break just to maybe hopefully things stabilize for a bit here, because this is going to be unfortunate if this is how things are panning out here. But we are back on the equalizer round here, 5-5 for Valor and Acer. You know, I made a big bet, I think, on Valor a little bit earlier, but I think Plague Doctor played it right. We really don't know which side's going to be winning out here. Uncle Rondo picks out Crimson, starting off great already for 30 seconds into the round for the Acer squad. This is going to be a solid start for Acer here, as they also have to be very mindful of the trip mines by that storage area.
Hotline baiting out some trips, hoping to push in. Actually, yeah, there are trips, but not exactly where they think they are. They know where they are. Hotline hears the trips. He can't quite see them. Now he knows where they are. Dim's on back stairs as Red is inside the point. I'm not seeing any reports about server issues. So maybe it's just this server. I'm anticipating a server change next time. Red takes out Uncle Ron. It's a fantastic pickup for the Valor side. Now Kha'Zix pushing around as well. A lot of players in storage. Hotline gets taken down by an incendiary. Barely doesn't get refragged. As Hotline takes out Red with a nade. EMP going down relatively early from LFT as Blossom gets flashed out. Kha'Zix tries to take him down. Kha'Zix instead flicking over to Jims, but Hotline takes out Jims before he can. Blossom stuck behind the box now. Hotline and Kha'Zix holding down the wall breach. There's not a lot the Valor can do to get to the EMP, especially with someone outside in storage and covering the doorway. What do you do, especially if you're Blossom now on a 1v3 against Acer members? And that is Acer now up 6-5 over Valor. Not unwinnable, but if you'll notice, Martini, Valor spent all of their money on that last round.
Yeah, that was a big investment, and it didn't quite pan out there. I mean, Shimi, what can they do? We can go to overtime still. That's still a possibility here.
We're seeing some interesting buys right now. We're seeing a Huracan come into play. Huracan just getting a recent buff where the spray got shrunk down. It's a little bit more sluggish. It's a little bit more closer to the Knut at this point. Not quite as potent, but still a fantastic gun. I mean, with that last round, Acer was able to get a hold of something that they absolutely needed, which was that storage wall. Getting that storage wall where you can see all the way into backside, all the way to connector, and just deny any sort of push-up onto the punching bag plant. Like, Acer, I think, has just gotten their heads back fully into the game, and they're ready to completely win this out. This is going to be a tall order, not a single one-tapper gun on the Valor side, aside for maybe the Huracan if they can get close enough. This is a risky play. They know that their backs are against the wall.
Yeah,
especially since the Huracan buff
Yeah, I mean, do or die moment, right, for the Valor squad. They got to come back here. And we're seeing Gyms play aggressive on this here with the Huracan. We might be able to see them pick up some of these Acer squad. They go for the run out.
Yeah.
No. Oh, but there is
the worst part.
Double refrag.
The worst part about that is Gyms, as he was running out, 100% saw the repel from Hotline, knew he was there, and couldn't stop from running out at that point. He just had to commit.
It's an unfortunate situation.
It's not over till it's over, y'all. I will say that they can still come back here. Blossom does get picked up. Uncle Ron gets that refrag 2 in the end. Still a 2v3 right now for the Valor squad. Looking less and less likely here, but not impossible, as Red has to be very careful about Tech 9 there on that hatch. And I adapt now watching A side themselves here. This is a very tense moment right now for the Valor squad. I cannot imagine the comms. Oh no.
Ooh. Now Red alone. Here's Tech9 drop, and now Tech9 heard him start running. That's really unfortunate. Does check his corner, takes one out, but gets pre-fired, and that is map 1 for Acer on Hideout.
That was such a back and forth match. It was a joy to watch. Just the slightest little mistakes on each side costed the entire round. That eco deficit absolutely doing no favors for Valor, but they put one heck of a fight in, even grabbing a lead at one point. I mean, yes, they're a team that has beaten Acer twice, but still being able to pull that lead on a map that is not their best, but is also one of Acer's top 2 maps. Impressive, absolutely impressive. There's a reason that Valor is so much fun to watch.
Yeah, I expect to see them do pretty well in map 2. To your point, they did so well against Acer. I think on one of Acer's pretty strong maps, I've seen them consistently perform well on Hideout. It's not often where I've seen them really lose that much on Hideout, but 7-5, almost, dare I say, might have been an overtime there. If they might have, Valor played that last round a little bit differently. I don't know if I would have done a run out there. That was a little risky, I think, for a final play. But hey, sometimes you need one of those ratty plays, just secure as many picks as possible. I mean, they had the Huracan in hand, right, hoping for some good action here. But what are you thinking, Plague Doctor? Can Valor do something about map 2?
Well, first of all, we do have a server change just to get that rolling. Second, I'm feeling, I don't know, Valor's not had a fantastic track record on Hideout, but they played really well. And also, this is the same situation we saw Valor in at the beginning of the season, right? Where they were down pretty good rounds, and then I believe they got like 6 or something in a row to win that match out. So their back is against the wall. They just need to get onto a map that they're good at, get onto, just get some good momentum going. I think they can clutch this out. It's just going to take some really hard work. And Valor has been committing to that for quite a while in this entire season. I'm excited to see, I'm just really excited to see if they can clutch this out. I don't want to go home. I don't want to, finish out this cast after just, about half an hour.
Yeah, I want to see us go to a map 3. I've noticed that a lot in the playoffs. At least these playoffs, I've noticed we've been done in 2, at least on the NA side of things. I've been seeing a lot of done in 2 maps, which is fine, in terms of my time. But I want to see the action. I want to see us go all the way and hit a map 3 here. And I'm gonna be honest, it's only fitting for a team like Valor and Acer to go to map 3 because of the beef. Talk about beef this season. I don't think I've seen a team fight so much in a single season, right? Because between the challenge matches and the league itself, setting these 2 teams up against each other, it almost feels comedic how often I've seen these 2 teams fight against each other here. But anyways, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Just another quick reminder, VRML is coming up in Phoenix, Arizona. If you want to hang out with the community IRL, check out some awesome tournaments and panels. I don't think we have any panels, actually. Well, actually, we might have, potentially some cool deaths things going on a little bit differently than we did VRML last year, but that is to be decided at a later date. But you get to meet up with some of your favorite casters, favorite players, anyone else on the VRML team. Make sure to go on and snag your tickets at the VRML website because you do not want to miss this one. We'll all be there. All the Breachers casting crew will be there. I think it's all three of us here. Nightfire, of course, Bob, Gravy, literally everyone I could think of that's been done casting at some point will most likely be there. And obviously we're gonna have all the other tournaments going on too with a Ryan Drift, a Vale. What's the other one? Pav.
Right? We're gonna have Onward. Ryan Drift is going to have its own full day.
Yeah, I mean, so many exciting things happening at the con. So definitely snag a ticket, check us out, see us live. As it looks like we are going to be going into our upcoming map right away here, starting on Arctic. I was kind of shocked to see this. Arctic is, really, I expect maybe like a ship sort of thing. I see ship happen a little bit more often here. But, let's call out also, I don't think we talked about the bands too. What, Skyscraper and Mall,
Skyscraper and Mall. But you're wrong. No, I think Arctic, has been like Valor and Acer's stomping ground, I think, in every matchup they've had. This is now a storied map between these two teams.
Yeah, there's a lot of tension, especially after they've gotten time to adjust to this new version of Arctic. Again, As people have heard all season, yes, there was a previous rework that happened, I believe, at the end of Season 2, where the map got an entire makeover. It is now very different from when it used to be. Each floor feels just a good amount different from each other. They play all differently. It's a very varied map, extremely fun to play on, and it has become a favorite between these two teams.
Yeah, it looks like Acer playing again aggressive on the defense. LFT, I mean, talk about roamer in a charge. We've seen LFT on that roaming so many times. And I gotta give credit, we're gonna be choosing one of the top roamers in the game. I think LFT might be someone I might consider amongst that, top 5 of roamers, because I've seen him consistently get value and know when to not overstay their welcome. Because I think that, again, that's one of the hardest things with being a roamer, just knowing when and when not to play here. As we do start out, Jim's getting a pick off on Uncle Ron there, starting Valor with a good push here, but that refrag coming out from LFT on the roamer there, and that's what I was talking about in terms of that roaming.
And LFT also taking out the roam guard from Valor. Obviously he didn't get any picks on the main folks, but he took out the person who was guarding the flank, which is a great pickup. Hotline able to push up to the box. Now that they got one pick, iAdapt takes out Kha'Zix, as well as Tech9 taking out iAdapt. Jim's trying to take down Hotline, but he just can't get purchase on him past the box. Now a 1v3 for Blossom with Hotline trying to peek out. LT rotating back to point. That is a Acer 3-stack, taking down Valor for pistol round on Arctic. This is going to be rough for Valor to get this back. Acer has some great rounds here on Arctic in the past bits of this season, so I'm excited to see if Valor can get it, but it's going to be a hard-fought battle.
That was a picture-perfect offense and defense of that specific site. Something that you always notice on that bottom floor B side is that enforcers will always get shipped down hard by wall damage, by wall bangs. Getting even foam on that wall can be difficult sometimes, but Valor was able to get it done, get that wall open, and at least get the plant down. They weren't able to finish the plant, but they were at least able to get the EMP down without losing more than one person. Usually you'll see teams just get shipped to pieces right there, just because there's so many different wall angles that can be, wall bangs that can be done through it. Meanwhile, Acer, it managed to just keep them out. They did exactly what they needed to do. They instant off the meta plant spot. They just kept the pressure on down the wall and down the doorway to finally finish out Valor. Picture perfect on both ends. It's just that is a lot more of a defense-sided site than it is offense.
For sure. Here's again, we have LFT playing deep again for the Acer roamer. If I were Valor, I would just be worried about seeing the name LFT pop up at all here. Because talk about roamer in charge again on that little side, playing a little extended from the side here. And I think Valor is slightly adjusting some of their strategies, but we'll see if they can, as this attack is now getting started here for the Valor squad.
Speaking of roamer, Crimson alone with a cloak pushing up on back hall. Now, a cloak is a double-edged sword, folks. I don't know if you know this, but you can hear, as a defensive player, you can hear when the cloak goes on and off. Hotline 100% heard that cloak, But regardless, Crimson did take him down, but you can hear when a cloak turns on and off when you're on defense. So it's something where it's a double-edged sword. It'll help you stay hidden, but it reveals your position for sound cues. But it doesn't matter, as Crimson does, I believe, get a 3K. Kazik is taken down, and that is Valor picking up a quick round, getting some fantastic picks with Crimson clearing the backline out as well. Quick thing, Jimmy, if you wouldn't mind taking on CoCast for a second, something has come up for just a second. I'll be back in about 5 minutes. I can't ignore this. I'm sorry.
No, absolutely, can do. So, Plague mentioned, or both you and Plague mentioned this, Martini, where they need to be worrying about LFT. They need to be worrying about that flank. They need to be taking him out, getting him gone. That's exactly what Crimson did. Crimson went to the farthest point of the map, as far away from his team as he could possibly be, with a cloak and an omen and a dream, and managed to come out with a 4K, taking down LFT, taking down Hotline, securing that entire push for his team, making it go from what was going to be a brute force battle to just a nice walk in the country. Well done, Crimson, being the cloaked rat that you are.
I mean, that was a beautiful roaming, like deep
really
flank, right? I mean, a 1-2-3K. That is one of the most ideal, if not, getting an ace, right, in terms of getting a flanking play. And that is going to be a clip it moment for sure, because that was perfect, getting the 1-2-3. They might have gotten the 4K. I'm not sure if I did my math right. They got the 4K in the end. Yeah, so close to an ace.
The fourth was in sight.
Oh, that's why. Yeah, 4 almost being a pick there in the end. Anyways, as we come to this upcoming round here, Valor having to decide how to attack this with a drone in hand. Maybe get some intel here as Kha'Zix playing that extended play here, trying to see if they can pick up some chip damage on some of these early Valor players.
This is not a good position for Acer to be in either. They are forced down to all omens and a Taurus. Actually, we got one Viper in there as well. But seeing the full stack, or not the full stack, but we're seeing 2 full buys coming out of Valor. They're going to be able to they're going to be able to probably get some purchase into this side. This is another floor that you can have a lot of wallbangs in.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what's going on. I've noticed this with Valor, right? They really have a lot of setup time, but the execution is so fast, right? When they take so long in the round and really get set up, make sure everything's cleared. But man, when they get that execution on the attack, it is just rolling in the deep fast here. And Valor is gonna have to do something here, as already 1.5 minutes into the round, only 1 minute left here. It looks like we are going to be seeing some detail come out. No, as it gets shut down by a beautifully placed incendiary there, right in the middle of the room. But it is traded, so never mind. Uncle Ron on the back end knocks out Crimson down for the count, leaving only 3. Never mind, 2 left in the round there.
That space holding coming in handy from Acer, just taking as much control as they can as Tech9 takes down Jim, leaving just iAdapt as the solo survivor. Looks like he's going to jump out to save his gun. Smart move, fair enough. They cannot afford to have another round screw up. Luckily, Valor has a lot of money in the bank. They will be able to recover from this fairly easily, only having 1 gun down. Though, Uncle Ron being able to grab 2 picks right out of kitchen, secure himself a Marui, and only losing 1 player out of that entire round. Very impressive. That is the benefit of top floor, being able to take up all the space and just run and control the map as you need.
Yeah, I was shocked to see it collapse so easily there, and I think that's one of the problems sometimes when your setup time is so long. It allows a team like Acer to start making adjustments and, almost anticipating where you're coming from, right? All it took for Acer to knock down that attack from Valor was a beautifully placed incendiary there.
All right, well, we are dipping into this next round. Seeing that eco save coming from Valor, they're able to fully buy their way back in. Looks like Crimson is going to util mule for his team. Near full buys coming out from the rest of Acer. Looks like Tech9 and Hotline are going to elect to stick with their Vipers for this round. Bank that money for a little bit later.
I mean, look at beautifully played, right? Let's see what Acer can do here. 1, 2, 3 full buys. 1, 2, 3, 4 for a Valor. They're looking really good right now, Shimi. I mean, dare I say it's Valor's round, or sorry, dare I not say that, because I don't want people to talk about Caster's Curse here, but I don't know. I'm excited to see. What's up?
remember, they didn't have a single rifle on Acer's side on that last round, and they were able to survive with 4 people alive. It's not going to mean anything right now. I think Acer's been really drilling on this map, and they've really refined both their Omen and their Taurus gameplay. Ron being an absolute stud with that Taurus.
Yeah, I think, you know, we talked so much about the beef between Acer and Valor this season. This is definitely one of those grudge matches where I can see them outperforming than normal as Uncle Ron picks up a pick, gets refragged themselves, though, leaving a 4-4 at this point. So pretty even in terms of player advantages here, as Tech9 does try to pick up the utility and guns there to prevent the Valor squad from getting any advantage from that pick here. Again, Acer sending LFT a little bit deeper on that roaming play.
Tech9 putting down some wall bangs, trying to get a little bit of damage. She does find a little bit onto Jims. Tech9 and Kazakhs holding this down as we see Hotline getting ready to peek into the hallway. Crimson setting off that alarm. Both walls go out. Smoke cutting off the angled wall.
Yeah, Jim's trying to go into the smoke, trying to see if they can get a little surprise there. Blossom gets the 2K. That's going to be a great pick for them, but it still only leaves the 2 left on the Acer squad. And I mean, LFT and Hotline are definitely be 2 dangerous players here. Crimson going in for the chip damage, trying to pick up Hotline, and that's a beautiful, is that a blind fire? I'm not sure if I saw that, but talk about Team Ace.
That was a blind fire coming out from Hotline, being able to finish off that round for his team. The push, the execution was well. They just kept losing people down to util. They had the momentum going, Valor did, on that primary wall going for the meta plant spot. But Tech9 and Kazakhs knew that they could not allow that to go down. Throwing those instants, charging at the dang thing, saying, screw the back wall, screw the angle wall. We're just going to go for it. We're going to make sure that this does not go down. It's extremely aggressive and well-played defense.
Yeah, I mean, Acer is just rolling in the defense right now. 3-1 against Valor. I want to see something different. I mean, we're seeing an Huracan come out from Jims again here. We'll see if they can get any picks here. But when you see an Acer squad with 4 Maruis, a Vezin in hand, it's looking a little dangerous right now for Valor because they did go almost all in on that previous round there. And I'll see if they can get something different here. But that was a big gamble by Valor that unfortunately did not pan out for them.
I'm back.
Oh, there we go. There's Plague back. We do see another Huracan buy coming out from Jims, though.
Now, I see 3-1. It looks like Acer's picked up a few rounds, but hopefully Valor sees the... Oh, please tell me Valor sees those trips. Oh, thank you. They haven't shot the trips out. I don't know if they saw the... Okay, good. Hideout saw the trips. Crimson gets taken down by Hotline immediately. A very aggressive push by Valor is not working out. Now, Jims is alone, stuck outside this door as Blossom is trying to get some wall bangs off, but seems like Crimson and Hideout got a little too aggressive. That's a nade down. That is immediately LFT and the rest of his team now up 3 members. Valor goes down another because of wall bangs. It's just Blossom trying to defend himself, and that is a flawless from Acer. What is happening? 4-1 lead. There's a potential for a complete lockout.
Ooh, it's like I said earlier, that wall is devastating. They almost snuck by it. They almost had their way to it, but the moment that alarm went off, hail of gunfire coming through the wall, coming through the doorway. There was util raining everywhere, and Valor just completely got stuck in the middle of all of it, each one of them going down slowly till there was only one left. And what did they have to do at that point? There was nothing left to do but try and make some picks happen and die. A tough situation, tough spot. Acer, again, really refined that defense on that bottom floor B site.
It's almost feeling like a different Acer. I mean, they already performed well on map 1, I'm not going to lie, but it feels like they're performing that much tighter on this map. We're seeing a lot more rounds, I think, where it's 4, 5 players even alive, which to me, I always say that's a sign of a very dominant round by that team, right? It's one thing to win, they got 1 player, maybe 2, but to have almost all 4 or 5 is very definitive in terms of that winning out that round here. Valor honestly struggling very much against this Acer squad. I'm not sure if they just really locked in during that break, or maybe the boss was just really throwing them off, you know, in the previous map. Because I will say there was a lot of disconnects that were definitely throwing them for a whirl here. But this is definitely the Acer I'm used to seeing, where they're just dominant.
Yeah, and they're holding down Green Hallway pretty well. Probably going to see some util from Valor trying to take them down. Kha'Zix with a pretty steep lean peak, trying to get any shots they can get. Going for the blind fire. Crimson does take down the static. Kha'Zix trying to go for some blind fires. Might get a nade to his feet. He'll be forced to push probably out into the hall. Speaking of nade, goes out into the hall. Doesn't take anyone down. Kha'Zix now pushing back. Does get droned out. But still stays in green. He's pretty confident about his peak as Crimson pushes up. It's a bit too little too late as Kha'Zix takes out Crimson with some trips. They don't really check for it. They had a drone in that hall, but it just did not look well enough. Someone's going to be pretty unhappy with the droner. Now I adapt. Watching back hall. Kha'Zix is in green. Red takes out Hotline as he tries to get a little too aggressive on the green hall. Kha'Zix having a good idea, just sitting back over in cafeteria, figuring out anyone they can. 4v3 favoring Valor. They're trying to just get these players down. Gems throws in some utility. They could honestly go for the plant as long as Red can get inside the point. Red is inside, but Red pushes back out towards green. Red needs to not isolate himself because he has the EMP. Now Kha'Zix pushing up. I adapt might be a little late on this push. He has his gun up, does take out Uncle Ron. Kha'Zix now has to worry about getting flanked out. Kha'Zix now alone, getting flanked out on both sides. iAdapt needs to play this carefully. He can just play this and wait Kha'Zix out until Kha'Zix gets pinched from the other side. Red gets taken down by Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix gets flashed out. Gotta push him now when he's flashed. He gets taken down. That is Valor claiming their second round of the matchup, but going into the switch. Now, Martini, what do you think the chances are that Valor keeps picking up some rounds? They did it last time.
You know, we saw a good momentum switch up in that map 1. I'm hesitant to say they can't do it. I mean, we're seeing Acer really lock in. There is a second half switch here, so that might also switch things up a little bit too in terms of momentum. But I still think Acer's got this one in the bag, right? We saw them still win out map 1. I wouldn't be shocked if they were able to win out this map 2. But I don't know, Shimi, how's Valor looking in terms of that first half?
Valor finally kind of got it together. They figured out their formula they needed to do by the end of it. That being said, they've got one heck of an uphill battle. Luckily, they get to start on the most defensible site on bottom floor. That gives them somewhere to start that they can start this creep up back. We watched it happen already where they were not in a great position in Hideout and managed to claw back a lot of rounds. Saying that Valor is out is not a solid statement. You can't count them out yet. These guys are going to keep fighting.
Right. I mean, we've seen Valor still make something happen in map 1. Doesn't mean they can't try again on map 2. Here's already starting off hot here as Crimson picks up LFT in the back there, but it looks like Tech9 trying to pick them up themselves here as they are going for the hunt against Crimson, and the rest of the Acer squad now having to at least deal with the pieces as they did lose a player already on the side here.
Kha'Zix not sure if anyone's still on the stairs, and neither is Tech9, especially as he pushes down. Crimson actually has the opportunity, if he really wanted to push all the way back down for the flank because they think he rotated completely off. Looks like he might actually do so. Coming down behind them, we have Red Room push actually from Hotline and Uncle Ron that gets beaten out by Jims and iAdapt. They know someone's in red. They don't know there's two. Jims goes for a bit of an info peek. Can't quite see anyone just yet, but there's definitely going to be a wall blow. Info peeks it out. Notice there's at least someone as Jims gets flashed out. The wall's going to get blown right beside him. He's going to have to be really careful. He's standing right in front of a blowable wall as the wall blows. Rotates out, takes out Uncle Ron. Hotline getting pre-fired on, nearly gets taken out as well, but doesn't quite. As Tech9 is in the smoke, not much of a chance for him to get away as Crimson looks to be going for another flank.
You know, we were talking about whether or not Valor is in or out here, and Valor looking very much in a 4v2. But I will say they could lose that. We saw, you know, in the previous game, a team losing a 4v2 here, and Valor could be a similar team. But maybe they can rewrite history here, as Red does get picked up by Tech9 and Junior. They still have Crimson on that back end there. I'm surprised they're not coming in for a potential pinch on this team here. But 2v3 isn't looking too bad now.
Yeah, Hotline is on the flank, which gives Crimson the perfect opportunity to push down the stairs. Oh, he makes a lot of footsteps. Hotline knows he's there. That was a bit of a misplay from Crimson. He could have waited for the EMP.
What?
Yeah, Crimson made way too much noise on those stairs. He gave away his position and unfortunately got taken out. That it is really unfortunate for Valor, as now they're going to be down 3 rounds instead of just 2 or 1. And that is really the importance of patience when you're coming in. You know, Crimson knew that the EMP was going to be going down. He didn't see Hotline, but he knew there was someone there, and he decided, I'm going to start running, see if I can take them out. But Acer is just such a strong team to try to test your gunplay against. And I don't know if trying to do a Hail Mary push is really the best plan, especially if you're on defense where you don't have the limitation of time.
I think that they thought that both Tech9 and Hotline were going to be on the same spot, on that wall. It just did not work for him. Hotline and Tech have been playing together for so long. They know each other inside and out, that they know exactly the best way to optimize where they're peeking each other, or sorry, where they're covering each other. A great demonstration right there. Another thing that really saved them was they didn't push that wall and try and brute force it. They played it smart. They tried to get some picks out. Did not work amazingly. Of course, they still ended up in that 2v4, but they had enough recovery and they played it smart enough, covering enough ground to be able to take out that flank, to continue taking out backside to ultimately get that round win.
Man, if I were on the Valor squad, I would be screaming in those comms. Like, what? How did we throw a 4-2 advantage there? You know, I was hoping they would be different than the previous matchup, but it looks like it isn't quite the case here. Now Acer getting another round in the pocket here. 5v2. 2 rounds away from Acer securing themselves a top 2 spot in the grand finals tomorrow. Valor is not going to be wanting that to happen here, but they got to play something differently because they can't be doing what they did last round. Otherwise, again, we might be going home a little early today because there's no matchup after this one. Again, this is a best of 3 series. If they can win 2, they're done. LFT picking up Crimson there. And that is already Valor down a player, 3 players now, only 2 left, but Red finally shooting back.
But Jims takes down 1, LFT putting the EMP down. It is a 2v3, but these players are split up. They can't use their numbers. They don't really have a numbers advantage to begin with, as Jims is in the smoke trying to push up Kha'Zix. Neither of these players knows the other is there. They're right in the smoke next to each other. Jims is just standing there in the smoke. Doesn't know that Kha'Zix is sitting right next to the bomb. Neither of his teammates. Jims pushes out, takes down 1. Red takes down the other, but Kha'Zix in point takes down 1. Now it's Red versus Kha'Zix, and the pre-fire takes out Red. That is now a 6-2 lead for Acer, and that has got to hurt for Valor. Instead of being on, you know, a 5-3, it's a 6-2, and that is rough. They have to be you have to imagine what the morale is like over on Valor now because of losing the round before last. It's just, they can clutch this up, but it's going to be rough.
I mean, it's that Acer offense that we've talked about previously. They are so aggressive and in your face, which they demonstrated all over that site. It's hard to deal with, especially if you're, dealing with, we just came off of a 2v4. We just threw a 2v4. You're down mentally. You're trying to deal with a lower eco than your opponent.
Right.
And they just blitz the crap out of you. Jims held in as good as he could. And that little Looney Tunes moment we got with Kha'Zix and Jims was great. But just, this is really not a great situation for Valor. They are still putting in as much work as they can. Each one of these players individually fighting as hard as they can to stay in this top 4, try and get to that finalist spot.
Yeah, I mean, look at this, 6-2. We might be going into a 7-2 win here for Acer. I want to see Valor fight back. I want to see us get a couple more rounds in the pocket for Valor. Dare I say, maybe even a match 3 here. As Crimson knocking out Uncle Ron off of the window there. Already playing aggressive from Valor. This is what I like to see from Valor.
Now trying to push through. I think Crimson and Crimson knows there's someone on the window. Yeah, Crimson knew LFT was there. LFT knew Crimson was there. There's the inevitability that one of them would die, and LFT just decided to climb out and get it over with. Now, this is bad for Valor. They're not down a player just yet. Like, they're not down on total players, but it's going to be rough if they can get this off because they're so spread out. They can't really get refrags for each other. Red is stuck in the gym. Adapt takes out 1, tries to get another, but escapes with his life, which is great. Red takes out another, trying to get this off as LFT gets flashed by his teammate. Hotline is holding EMP, but they're having split two directions. Red doesn't check. Ooh, Red info peeks out, but doesn't keep his gun up, gets taken out. iAdapt pushing in one at a time. Jims and iAdapt feeding themselves straight to Hotline one at a time rather than pushing in together. And Blossom gets taken out either by gun or with nade. And that is Acer winning the semifinals against Valor. That was a quick one, folks.
Jesus, the continual script flip on that round, especially the tension on that moment of LFT staring down the window while Crimson is just debating leaning out. That was one interesting round. I gotta say though, Hotline clinching it up with that disgusting 3K. Beautiful, beautiful work. Acer continuing to show why they are so well respected. Valor putting an absolute great fight up. This is a team that is hard to beat, and Valor has continually over this season shown that they can hang with the absolute best. They still have their chance to get third place as well tomorrow. I always love seeing Valor play. It's always such a treat to see these top performers every time.
It was heartbreaking though. There were so many moments where I can see things almost line up, see things almost perfectly play well for the Valor squad. It was just so close so many times. We saw that on map 1, where we saw 7-5. We saw a team that I was, for a split second, like, you know what? Maybe we are going to map 3. Maybe Valor can get one of these dubs in the pocket here. But I think something important that you had mentioned earlier is just mental, right? And I think that's the hardest thing about playing against a team like Acer. It's keeping a strong mental round after round after round, and when you lose a 4-2 against them, when you lose some of these rounds which you almost felt like you had a very for sure advantage, it just showcases, having an advantage doesn't mean it guarantees you the round win. It doesn't matter, because you still got to play well until the very end. And that's something I always appreciate when I see a team like Acer. They play the round out to the very, very end. Who cares if they're down half of their squad? Who cares they don't have eco advantage? Who cares about any of that? Because they have the skill to still make it work out. And it's just, that's hard. How do you play against a team that just feels insurmountable at times? And that's what I was starting to feel in the last second half of this game, where just you're slowly being chipped apart piece by piece by Acer. That's hard to play against, man.
They did as well as they could, though. They've done it before. They've done it a few different times. It just might not be their day. I think I said this at the very beginning, was if either of these teams had a single bit of an off day, the other one would win. It just comes down to Acer was a little bit more on point than Valor. Sure, the second map was a bigger gap than normal, but with these types of players, these types of teams, one single tiny bit of mental hesitation, one single tiny bit of not feeling your best can create such a massive cascading deficit. You're talking, again, the best players in the game. Extreme talent on both sides. There is no reason that Valor should not still be absolutely well respected after that match, especially that hideout. That hideout was insane.
I mean, that was just a deadly matchup between the two. I love seeing it. But hey, unfortunately they're knocked out, and they'll be moving on to the bronze matches tomorrow. So reminder, tomorrow we do have the bronze matchup. It's confirmed now to be for bronze matchup, it's gonna be Valor and who are we just watching? Fusion. We just watched them.
Fusion.
Valor and Fusion, and then of course going on to the grand finals, it's gonna be Acer and IVNA. Of course, what other team than the ones fighting for their dynasties at this point, going on to potentially be the grand finalists for season 4 for VRML Breaches. I'm excited to see what tomorrow amounts to, but unfortunately that is gonna be all we have for the casting today. But before we head off, I want to give one last reminder. If you have not already done so, head over to the VRML Con, the website, to sign up for the qualifiers. Again, this is a potential shot at also competing for the massive $20,000 prize pool. So if you think you've got what it takes to win 5K in your tournament, get those qualifier entries in, and of course we'll hopefully see y'all in person, because of course I've said this 20,000 times, but I'll say it 20,000 more. All of us will be there. We'll be live, potentially casting your game, and of course talking to you in person. And one final shout out to the creators on the VRML team and of course the mods. If you ever want to get involved with what we do behind the scenes, which is creating content, casting games, or helping with moderation, we're always accepting applications for more volunteers. So please head over to the Breachers VRML Discord server and submit an application if you are interested. But of course, that is going to be it for us today. Unfortunately, we have no more games for y'all, but we have more coming up tomorrow in the finals and bronze match. So thanks for coming out and watching another one of our VRML Breachers cast on the VRML network. We appreciate seeing you all here today. And of course, remember to subscribe, leave a like. It's greatly appreciated. Hopefully we can see y'all tomorrow.
VRML is brought to you by Helga, the esports manager, Triangle Factory. Thanks for watching VRML.